We're going to do that the entire time. Okay, we got a lot to go. We literally today
is August.
Well, for August, this is this week actually has been pretty busy with a lot of stuff going on. So the trade deadline obviously ended yesterday. The Dodgers did not make a big splash that I think a lot of people were hoping for. Got some interesting stuff around the Lakers as well. Cooper Kupp hamstring issue, so we'll get into some of that stuff as well. And then we got Ask M coming up at 10:45. She's going to the Taylor Swift concert on Saturday. AK, if I don't get 48 questions about just the concert and her setup and how she starts her day and what Friday is going to look like leading up to Saturday and what happens on Sunday, that's kind of all I'm looking for in this Ask M coming up at 10:45.
But I won't be here. You
know? Emily's so checked out on Friday's show.
She should be gone by tomorrow.
I would have stayed up all Thursday night watching live streams of Taylor Swift's concert from SoFi Stadium.
14.
Yep. Hey.
14. Are we starting a new? Are we starting a new one? Put it on the side.
Right,
so we have
one.
a run in total, but then we also see if she beats what she did yesterday.
Okay. I likely will because I think we started too late yesterday.
Went to the bank yesterday.
How'd it go?
Went to go get everything.
U.S. Bank, to be exact.
U.S. Bank, to be exact.
Wait, your social security number was 6666666.
The 6 was right in the beginning. So now all you got to do is figure out the rest of the numbers. So I was mentioning it yesterday.
Someone's turning into Zach Galifianakis, that meme with all the numbers around them.
I was mentioning it yesterday. So I had a little fraud issue going on with one of my accounts. I said I was going to have to go to the bank. And I had never kind of run into this before. So it's the first time that I've actually had fraud on one of my accounts. You were telling me, I think you said that you know some people have had it, and it's really
I have family
bad.
members who've been through it. It's a real hassle.
So I get to the bank. I have no, this was not, it was not actually a scheduled appointment because I couldn't get through on the phone.
You're Alan Sliwa. You don't need to make a scheduled appointment.
Definitely need to make an appointment. So I walk into the bank and it's about...
Just walk in carrying one of your
How long
Mandy's.
do you think it took? How long do you think it took? They'd probably say, "Sir, what is this?" I would say, "Well, every year we do an award show at 710 where we actually give ourselves awards."
And I won. I won.
How long do you think it took?
I'm going to say 2 hours.
What do you think? What do you think, Jorge?
About an hour 15.
Okay.
3 hours.
About an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think actually it was. I think that's kind of what I was thinking.
So it's the length of Barbie, not the length of Oppenheimer.
The length of yeah. I mean, if it took me the length of Oppenheimer, that's all day. And maybe it only took that long because they only had that much time before the bank actually closed. Maybe it was like, hey, we actually have to finish this thing up.
If it's the length of Oppenheimer, you know what? Keep the money, man. Like, it's fine.
By the way,
I'll find another resource.
By the way, how random is this? The bank that I went to, this is not like a just standalone bank. It's the bottom of a big building. Okay. No air conditioning for the whole building. The building went out. The AC had just gone out. So I walk into, the building, and it's like the perfect time of the day where the sun is coming in on the glass and everything else. I come in, I'm like, what the hell is going on in here?
That's why it took an hour and a half. They were rushing you out of there.
Bro, everybody's like, you got like shirts buttoned to here, forget the tie and everything else for those who are workers there. Fans doing everything they can. A little brutal in there. Not going to lie, a little brutal, a little August heat in the Pasadena area.
A dystopian bank going on right now. It's the bank from the bleak future.
It's actually a black market bank. It actually had nothing to do with an ATM card, nothing.
Or they're trying to sweat you out, make sure you're really trying for... They're not the fraudster yourself.
Sir, here's your currency. You're going to have to convert it somewhere else.
That's actually pretty fun. They don't know if I'm the fraudster. They have to, this is a setup that they have. Meet Anthony over there in the corner. Who? Anthony will take care of you. Anthony will take care of you.
When they were fixing your stuff, and they're
Tony.
like, Mr. Sliwa. Tony. Were they giving you like a wink when they called you Mr. Sliwa? Like, okay, Mr. Sliwa. All right, sure.
So fraud, right?
Now, it's...
Do you have insurance for this? They're like, what do you...
It's standard when we fix your fraud that the teller takes a little slice of the action. You know what I'm saying, right?
That's awesome. It's literally a full black market at a well-known bank. I'm trying to give cash under the table. Like, let's say we don't tell anybody about this, sir. What are you doing? What are you doing here? All right, let's get into the trade deadline that has come and that has gone and kind of break down what happened to the Dodgers. What a weird day. When you and I left yesterday, still quiet, right? Verlander had just gone. By the way, Angels just give up. Looks like a 3-run homer. They're playing the Braves right now, so they're down 3-0. Verlander ends up going to the Astros, and now the question just basically becomes, all right, is there really any pitching left out there for them to try to get? Who was that, Acuna?
No, it was it might have been Acuna. It was Giolito who threw that pitch. That was a bad pitch he just threw.
My favorite is when, I don't think there's anything more baller in baseball, when
Yeah, it was Acuna.
when you know it's out, when they just stand there. They just know it's out. It's like, I have no reason to hurry. This is 415 feet out. I literally have nothing
Yeah,
to run
Giolito
for.
just
But
gave
if-
up a double after this home run. When he threw that home run pitch, he didn't even look behind him to know where the ball was going. He's like,
He knew
yep,
it.
I know. That's gone.
They got the first game against the Braves. This is the final of a 3-game set. I think you were saying yesterday, basically everybody in the AL that the Angels are chasing one yesterday, so this could be a bad second loss for them.
Yesterday was a bad day for the Angels to lose. Check that. A triple he gave up, not a double.
Yeah, bad start for the Angels. Let's put it that way. But yesterday we're doing the show. And in the middle of the show, Verlander gets moved to the Astros. And now the question is, all right, are the Dodgers going to be able to do anything moving forward? Mason and Ireland are on after that, and the deadline goes till 3. And we're all kind of listening in, trying to figure out, all right, what are the Dodgers going to do? They got to go out and get another pitcher. And they go make a deal. They go get Eduardo Rodriguez, which is one of the players that we were talking about from the Detroit Tigers. And the dust kind of settles, and before you know it, there's a couple tweets that come out. Rodriguez has it in his clause. I guess there's 10 teams that he could say no to in his no trade clause. One of them is the Dodgers, and says no to the Dodgers. I want to play a clip here real quick. Andrew Friedman yesterday was talking about, at least, I mean, there's kind of a lot of dancing around. There weren't too much details given. But the Dodgers trying to make a move, and a player, which is a little bit odd, a chance to go compete for a World Series, says no to the Dodgers. Take a listen.
We didn't expect it at all. You wouldn't know one way or the other. You know, we thought with having a lot of his ex-teammates and guys that he's played with that and our place in the standings, that we thought we would be very desirable. But obviously for family reasons, we never got a chance to talk to Eduardo. But we talked to his agent numerous times, and we respect that he had this right and he exercised it. Obviously, we would have loved for him to join what we have going here, but it's hard for us to argue with family reasons.
I read an article on the other side of it from the Tigers, just kind of curious to see, and there was a lot of, you can't be any more, just no details given. It was very, very just kind of top-level service, no details. And here are the Dodgers now. Andrew Friedman continues to say, we thought it was done, and then we learned that it wasn't. There's a quote from Dave Roberts: to have a chance to come to a team with guys he's familiar with, on a team that's playing for a championship, it's surprising, talking about him not coming. What'd you make of yesterday?
First of all, it's bizarre and maybe a touch worrying if you're the Dodgers to have a scenario where Rodriguez definitely, Verlander maybe, exercised a no-trade clause or threatened to exercise a no-trade clause, specifically not to go to the Dodgers. Like, that in and of itself is odd. The idea that a no-trade clause would come into effect in a way that actually hurts the Dodgers, because we've become accustomed to, just I think as sports fans and people in L.A., a no-trade clause being the type of thing that gets somebody to L.A., not prevents somebody from going to L.A. Like that, we know with Rodriguez, and there's been enough whispering that Verlander didn't want to be a Dodger.
Okay.
And if it had come to it, would have exercised his no-trade clause. I don't think it ever got far enough for anybody to know one way or the other. But if nothing else, there had been no reporting that Verlander was pretty excited at the prospect of becoming a Dodger. So that in and of itself is kind of weird.
Are we reading in too much about something, or is there something? Because let me give you an example. The way we talk about the Dodgers when it comes to just looking at one of X amount of teams in Major League Baseball, Dodgers pretty much are one of the faces of the sport. Hey, if you run an organization, look at how the Dodgers do it, right? They're always an example of look how great their front office is. Look how they're able to develop players. Look
It's
how
excellence and its history and its prospects as well as top-tier talent.
And it's not the history that you mentioned. They got great history, but they're not depending on the history. Look at them in the last 10 years. They're always competing. They're always in the mix. AK, you think there's a perception that players have about the Dodgers that we don't talk enough about, or you think these are just two exceptions of two guys that maybe just were not interested? Trey Turner's a good example. Trey Turner, now I don't think the Dodgers would have offered him the money that he got in Philadelphia. He also never got a deal done with the Dodgers and kind of had expressed that he wanted to go back out to the East Coast.
We kept hearing all season during Trey Turner's final season with the Dodgers that he was hardly a lock to stay, that there was a lot of concerns that he could end up leaving.
Isn't it safe to say we hear a lot of the same things about Julio right now?
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be difficult now in the current setup for baseball where there's more teams that get in the wild card, more teams that could be chasing playoff spots. That's going to create fewer teams that are actually being sellers. So it's going to be harder for all teams, including the Dodgers.
This deadline is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, if the Mets had not been unexpectedly terrible
Awful
this year,
yeah,
the two biggest names, Verlander and Scherzer,
off the market.
They're off the market.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you're looking at a trade deadline where no names that people really know go anywhere.
Sure.
So I think it's a lot like the way the play-in affected the NBA, which is what the league wanted. They wanted more teams trying to get into the playoffs, so you're going to have fewer sellers at the deadline because more teams are trying to make something happen. That being said, I think with Turner, Rodriguez supposedly wanted to be closer to his family, which is great, except it's my understanding his family's in Florida. Like, Detroit to Florida isn't exactly like a common road trip. You don't decide, let's kill a weekend driving from Detroit to Florida and back.
Yeah.
Like, he's not really any closer.
Well, and technically, you're kind of in a rental status as well. Let's get more into that. I also want to spend some time on Andrew Friedman. What have we made of – I think what you said was really interesting about baseball today is a lot different than it was 5 years ago because of how many teams are competing. And Andrew Friedman, do you look at this trade deadline as a failure for not really going out and using some of these assets that you have to go get a big-time pitcher? We'll do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, AK in the house, 710 ESPN. All right, for the ones who get it done, Grainger offers high-quality supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as access to product specialists who have the knowledge and experience to answer your toughest questions. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
You, with your words like knives and swords and weapons that you use against me.
This song is called Mean by Taylor Swift.
AK, you got, when you first heard this song, remember when you called me?
Yes, I do.
Immediately you're like, hey.
Well,
Al.
It was hard to have the conversation because I was weeping.
Yeah,
right.
I was just uncontrollably sobbing with emotion.
Do you remember when you were a kid and you were like hyperventilating? You couldn't even let out what was wrong? I felt like
Here's
that's
the
kind
thing.
of what it was.
I didn't even understand what I was feeling.
Sure.
I just knew that I was feeling everything.
Right. So
in this one moment.
Of course. So a little fun fact about this song. This song won her 2 Grammys.
How many do they have right now? We're at 2, Jorge, for today?
2 so far.
2
Grammys, both for Best Country Solo Performance and Best Country Song. This song is actually... So she's never confirmed who this song Mean is about, but it's about this a music critic, and analyst called Bob Lefsetz. And he did an analysis of the song later on.
Okay.
And he said he didn't think that she could sing. And at the end of the piece, he wrote, "If this song is really about me, I wish it were better." And again, song won her 2 Grammys.
Okay,
Shots
I gotta give.
And this again, a 20-year-old wrote this, and he has that to say about her. But
Okay,
Well, why is she paying that much attention to him?
I gotta be honest. That's a great line. That's a really great line.
it is a great line.
That is a good comeback line.
I mean, it's the retort to "You probably think this song is about you," the Carly Simon "You're So Vain." Like Warren Beatty could have just shot back, "Well, if it's about me."
okay, why
Although
does
that
she,
song's so
better
good,
song.
you can't say that about "You're So
Why would
Vain."
she care so much about this guy's opinion?
Because she was 19 at the time. She was a kid. And this person is eviscerating her in all these different places. And it just sometimes, I mean, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but there are certain people on social media that just get under your skin, no matter how hard you want to ignore them, no matter how small they might be to your life, just get under your skin. And she has the ability to write about it if she wants to.
Yeah. Yeah, every time Travis sends out a tweet, just like this mother.
Okay, I asked this question, Taylor, with all respect. I mean, about Taylor to you, Emily, with all respect to both of you and acknowledgement. I think she's very, very talented.
Yeah.
Is she too sensitive?
Because she actually says that in a song. She's like, "I'm so sensitive. I'm too soft."
Bro,
for
listen
all
to
of
the
it."
lyrics. She says it in a song.
She's aware that she's very sensitive,
Because
but there are some sensitive people in the world.
No, look. There is nothing wrong with being sensitive to a point. Like, it's good for people to be in touch with their own emotions, with their own feelings. Like, it's okay. It's okay to be hurt by things. I ask this just because, my God, if you ever cross Taylor Swift,
Yeah, be careful.
it seems like she's out to wreck your life.
Hey, but
Like, don't
makes her
ever
a lot
date
of
this
money,
woman.
gets her a lot of awards. So
Again, she's super talented.
I think it's also probably a play.
And her strength is her lyrics above everything else. Like, I think she's more talented as a lyricist than she is a songwriter.
I 100%
I'm
agree.
still most impressed by the guy that critiqued her and then got a song written about him.
And she won 2 Grammys. What were you doing at 20?
And
She was winning Grammys.
and he critiques him and then says at the end, well, if you're going to write a song about me,
Do better.
do better.
And again,
Do better, Delta.
2
Was it
Grammy
Delta or
award-winning
United?
song.
Which flight was it? United or Delta?
No.
United.
Oh, it was United.
Do better.
All right. Do better.
That's your Taylor Swift.
All right, there's
Update.
our Taylor Swift update. By the way, 10:45, we're doing an Ask M. M's going to the concert at SoFi this coming Saturday. She's already kind of given us a little bit of details of how the day's going to be, so hopefully all the Ask M questions are Taylor Swift related, and not literally about Taylor Swift, but more about what her next couple of days are going to be like. Already got a few good ones, so you can add them in there on Twitter. A lot of heat. You kind of tell me. Andrew Friedman's getting a pretty decent amount of, at least, reading a couple articles in the LA Times, getting some people's thoughts. I mean, Plaschke put out something that just the fact that he did not improve the starting pitching for a squad that is so desperate for starting pitching. Here are the Dodgers. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. If they didn't maybe have such a great 100-plus games, maybe great's too aggressive of a word.
It's been good.
But when your pitching is that bad and you're still ahead of the division in the NL West, especially with some teams that you thought would be more competitive. When you have the second best record in the National League, I think they're having a pretty damn good season. But I think the question is, can you really make noise with the pitching staff that you have? And Andrew Friedman, as much heat that at least he's getting a little bit of pressure right now. I want you to take a listen to this because he's talking about how the trade deadline today is just different since the playoffs have expanded, since more teams are in the mix, something that you were talking about a little bit earlier. Take a listen to Andrew Friedman.
Anytime you're going through this, and we've targeted high-end guys, a lot of deadlines, sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't. When it doesn't, of course, if you want to do that, we're all really competitive, and so you want that to happen. But, we knew that this year there was a smaller number than there typically is for various reasons, but there were you guys that fit really low that we aggressively pursued, and that's how it goes. And from our standpoint, we feel really good about the team that we have and the depth we have behind it. With that said, you always want to feel even better.
You feel really good about where they are? Seems a little... I think you can make an argument either way.
I think they're in a good place right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can argue that they've overachieved. Heading into this season, there were not huge expectations for this team. If anything,
compared to previous expectations.
Right. I mean, if anything, people thought this was going to be one of the rare years over like the last 10 or 15 where the Dodgers didn't, not just win the NL West, but dominate it.
Sure. Their last 3 years win totals are 105, I think was the worst.
Right. I think there's like three potential possibilities in terms of the Dodgers and Andrew Friedman's approach at the deadline. One that I think is fairly unacceptable and a bad reason, and I want to make it clear, I don't know which of any of these is the actual reason, but these are the three things that pop out to me that could explain it. One, and this would be the worst, they don't want to make any type of financial commitments because they're keeping everything clean and flexible for Ohtani. And to me, unless you pretty much damn sure know that guy's going to be there, like from your back channeling, we got him, that's a bad reason.
So Eduardo Rodriguez had a player option at the end of this year.
Right.
And everybody believes, I think he had 3 more years left, but
that
the money's low, that he's going to opt out.
Right.
And so you could say he was a rental.
Sure.
Verlander would not be under the same circumstance.
Right.
Arenado would not have been under the same circumstance either.
So, again, they've been giving indications that they would have been willing to do some type of long-term commitments. Who knows if they would have actually pulled the trigger if it had gotten that far. But anyway, if that is a reason ultimately they didn't make a bigger splash, I think that's a really bad reason. Second reason could just be what was being asked of them in a seller's market they thought was too high for the players that were out there. To be fair to the Dodgers, there were not reportedly a ton of really big needle movers that seemed to be attainable. And, we're going to end up learning more about who was possibly on the block, who discussions were about or whatever. And if the cost was legitimately too high in their eyes, then the cost was legitimately too high. And, we'll eventually hear some of these details. People will decide for themselves. Andrew Friedman and the Dodgers have a reputation for an unwillingness to overpay. I think sometimes that's smart. I think sometimes they do cost themselves opportunities. The third reason might just be they're looking at this team and saying, we've overachieved. We've gotten better success than the sum of our parts.
It will correct itself?
Yes. There is only so far we can take this. Once you start going up against only the best teams in a series, we feel like eventually the lack of talent will top itself out, and we can't make ourselves substantially better than we are now. And this is not the team to go all in on, despite the fact that we are leading the division.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot because you said something yesterday I couldn't agree more with. You talked about how, listen, you never know what can happen year to year. If you're already in a position where you're 100 games in and you have the second best record in the NL, I don't know how much you need to think about what you're going to do next year. And I know the Dodgers are always thinking years ahead, but not going out and getting a legitimate starter when you have one of the worst, I know we've heard this quote a couple of times. The month of July was literally one of the worst in Dodgers history. Now, can it all change? Lance Lynn came in yesterday, I think pitched 7 innings, gave up a few solo homers. You're playing the Oakland A's, so how much can you really determine going up against A's? But they got their W. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a 4-game set coming up, and they could potentially they could basically bury the Padres this weekend if they swept the Padres or took 3 or 4, whatever the case is. But it'll be interesting how these next few days I'm sorry, not even just the next few days. It's what the Dodgers do from this point moving forward. Once the trade deadline is behind, now you know this is a squad that you have. But it's tough with Andrew Friedman because they've made also unbelievable additions at the trade deadline. They've been so responsible and so successful that if you have just a sort of quiet trade deadline, all of a sudden everybody's looking like, well, where's the big splash?
I mean, the truth is, it was
Dodgers
a pretty quiet.
The Dodgers have almost created this expectation every year that how do you live up to that expectation?
It was a fairly quiet deadline period. I mean, again, other than Verlander and Scherzer, who were not even expected when the season began to be in a conversation for sellers, it's a pretty quiet deadline.
All right, let's do a couple things here when we come back. But first, ESPN LA and Hollywood Park Casino are giving 12 fantasy football commissioners the chance to win a fantasy football season experience, including the ultimate fantasy draft party for their ESPN fantasy football leagues and weekly prizes throughout the season. All you got to do is register at ESPNLA.com. Again, ESPNLA.com. Scroll for the Hollywood Park Casino logo, and we'll see you on Friday, August 18th at HPC, Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, and draft. The Dodgers were not the only SoCal team trying to make some moves. Baseball tonight had some different opinions on what the Angels chose to do, and the Angels right now taking on the Atlanta Braves. Do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
Sliwa.
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No. Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
I got a condo in Manhattan. Baby girl, what's happening?
All right, ESPN LA and Hollywood Park Casino giving away 12 fantasy football commissioners a chance to win a fantasy football season experience, including the ultimate fantasy draft party for their ESPN fantasy football leagues and weekly prizes throughout the season. Register now. Just go to ESPNLA.com, scroll for the Hollywood Park Casino logo, and we'll see you on Friday, August 18th at HPC. Hollywood Park Casino, eat, drink, and draft. Just FYI, I'm just throwing this out there. Don't go if it's around your anniversary on the same day.
Or
I'm
just
not
know
talking
the date
to
of your
you.
anniversary.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you. I'm just saying in general, has nothing to do with the story that you told earlier in the week.
No, you'd have to be a real idiot to agree to do a fantasy draft on your anniversary. I mean, just a thoughtless, callous husband. Just a really bad family man. Like, who does that?
Makes your daughter go to football games and watch Nickelodeon. You know, it's crazy.
Well, she likes that. She actually enjoys the Slime Fest, the Nickelodeon alternative NFL broadcast. She actually thinks it's really fun.
Babe, we're going to go to dinner, but around 9:15. Here's the thing. The draft starts at 7.
Look.
I'm not leaving 8 or 9 picks in. I got to get all the way down. The depth chart is as important as anything else that we do.
Here's the thing, though. Because I'm a romantic, I let her pick my 13th and final round. I was like, babe, this is up to you. You take whoever you want. I know we're loaded at wide receiver, but if there's a wideout you want there, baby, you follow your heart.
You veto her? She picks the pick? No, we're not taking
No,
her.
not the 13th. 1 through 12, absolutely. But 13, that's all her.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
In the team after her, to also a tribute to her as well.
Say that again.
You name the team after her. You know, you have to pay tribute to her. In some way.
Would so hate if I named
what
the
if
team
she
after
picked,
her.
What if she picked at 13 and it's a wide receiver, and then you got the next day somebody offered you something for that wide receiver?
Oh, I
gone
because
that wide receiver traded.
Because I'm such a great husband, I will never even drop that guy. Like, doesn't matter if he's having a bad season. 13th round, he stays on my roster.
That doesn't
the
mean
whole
he's playing.
Year. No, I'm not going to start him. My God, man. I mean, come on. Like, I still got to be the man of the house.
Okay, so Angels got a game going right now. They're down 5-1 against the Braves. We talked about this a little bit earlier. This was kind of, I mean, listen, all these games, when you're 4 or 5 games out of a wild card and you only got 55 games left or under 60 games, every game's obviously critical. They're down 5-1.
And Lucas Giolito pitching, who was someone they acquired at the trade deadline that maybe the Dodgers could have gotten, clearly not having a great showing today.
And again, he's
had 80 pitches there in the 4th inning.
It's the best team in baseball, and
I believe that's what it says.
You stole one to begin with. You thought maybe you get a split in the final 2, but Angels not playing good baseball right now. Yesterday, I know we spent a lot of time talking about the Dodgers, and that conversation is going to continue. Did the Dodgers do enough? Do they got a chance to really compete for a World Series here? Eduardo Perez and Buster Olney on Baseball Tonight yesterday were talking about the Angels. I want you to take a listen here because I think both guys they're trying to explain what they think the Angels did at the trade deadline, and both are in kind of completely different views. Take a listen.
They made a big mistake. They have 17 guys on the IL. All right, when they said that comment, they had Mike Trout, they had Anthony Rendon, they had guys that they felt could carry and help Shohei Ohtani. None of those guys are there right now. Mike Trout is expected back mid-August, just started swinging the bat. But the bottom line is this. You do not trade Shohei Ohtani, and by not trading Shohei Ohtani right now and probably getting a plethora of talent that you need, an organization that is, and Kylie was the one that told me this, they're 30 out of 30. Look, this is the bottom line. The only way to be sustainable and competitive in the American League, I'm not even talking about the West, in the American League is by having depth throughout the years. By not trading Shohei Ohtani and not guarantee that you're going to sign him back, this could be a 7 to 8 year problem, a major problem for the Angels.
100%. But Artie Moreno, he felt like this was his one path to retain Ohtani long-term was to keep him through the year and then have that avenue to talk to him in free agency. And I got to say this. Perry Manassian, the general manager of the team, once he's told by the owner you can't trade Ohtani, what he's basically being told is you can't retreat. And so then he's like, well, you know what? We're going to go for it. And he was the one who was the driving force behind the trade for Giolito and C.J. Cron and Randall Grichuk. Because his feeling is if we can't take a step back, let's try to win.
AK, let's pretend a year ago you're at the trade deadline and you're leading up to the trade deadline. And you have not just the best player in baseball, one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen in our lives. All right? And he's doing things on a night-in, night-out basis that you're just incredibly, incredibly amazed with.
Giolito just gave up another home run.
Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking good. A 2-run homer.
Woo!
8-1 Braves.
Woo!
But let's go back to over a year ago. Don't the Braves look like they're just having a good time?
They really do. They were just doing the bird all in the dugout.
When you're I don't know what they're probably 40-something games over, whatever they are, right? And that might actually be literal. I don't know, but I know they're just absolutely killing it. When you're winning like that, it's just, how loose are all these players?
Feels good.
Yeah, they're chilling. But I'm going to go back a year plus ago. And again, I'm going to go back to the Shohei Ohtani piece of it. You have Shohei. You have him under control for another year and a half. He's not like anything we've ever seen before. Literally. We're not talking about Shohei Ohtani just in baseball. We're starting to talk about Shohei compared to other athletes in other sports that are dominating the sport that they have. You also know that in order to compete, there's a chance that if you gave up Shohei Ohtani in a trade, you can really kind of rebuild your roster and put yourself in a position where maybe the future is even brighter from a competitive perspective. Angels make the right move by sticking this out and taking the chance and saying we're not going to get rid of him. We're going to take our chances and see what we can do with him.
Ask me after free agency ends when we see where.
There's another one.
Yep.
I mean,
Matt
really?
Olson just hit a solo.
Woo! Giolito, this is not a day he's going to.
They should trade him.
They should release him, DFA him. Ooh. I mean, honestly, yeah, that would be enough for Giolito. He's getting the hook. I mean, honestly, ask me after free agency ends and we see where Ohtani lands up. If Ohtani re-signs with the Angels, then it was obviously the correct move. Even if you can't understand why Ohtani would do it, even if you feel like the Angels have not put themselves in a position where they can capitalize on having Ohtani and Mike Trout on the same roster, if he stays, they did it right.
Can we put it this way? Because I think I know what you're saying, depending on what happens in the offseason. Would you have taken the risk if you were the Angels? Because you're right. Yes, if we're sitting here at a few months from now and Shohei Ohtani is talking about an extension with the Angels, then it was the right decision. If he decided, hey, I'm leaving, I'm going to whatever team, it was the wrong decision.
I mean, if you're asking me,
would you have taken the risk like the Angels have? Because that's really what Eduardo Perez and Buster Olney are talking about.
Okay, if you're looking at this in the most practical, realistic way, depending on what you know about Ohtani and what he wants, it does not look like they're setting themselves up well to keep Ohtani or to build their future. Like, if you're asking me if it looks like a mistake in the making, my answer is yes. I just don't know yet for sure because it's ultimately going to be decided by where Ohtani lands. But the Angels have not put themselves in a position of strength, at least from the outside looking in, at any part in this process because they could have gotten more of a haul for him if they traded him last year than they could have at this deadline.
They were close enough to compete this year where they decided, all right, we're just going to go all in.
They were, to their credit, buyers and aggressive buyers at the deadline, which is the only way you could justify keeping Ohtani. Even if it's a bad idea, you got to do the best version of the bad idea, which is being aggressively in buyer mode. But no, it does not look like they've done this right. It does not look like they're going to come out of this as winners. We shall see, but it doesn't look like it.
It's such a unique spot because it's not like, hey, it's just a pitcher. And you know what? This guy is let me use the Blake Snell, right? The Padres decided to keep. Well, Blake Snell, all right, let's just say that the Padres don't make the playoffs and he walks away. You're going to get criticism because your front office didn't go get some assets. Ohtani is so many different levels above any good pitcher. I mean, Snell's going to compete for a Cy Young this year. That's how good of a year he's having. And you can't have those two in the same conversation. And it's you as an owner or a GM saying, we're going to give up literally something we've never seen before. I've always said this to Trav, that franchise has not proved that whether you have good talent, you have bad talent, you have good prospects, you have bad prospects, they've never proved that they can do anything, even if they went and got a haul for Shohei Ohtani. So you might as well just take the risk with Shohei.
I mean, look, here's the thing. If your organization is badly run, then in some sense, what difference does it make what direction you go? If
you're going to be bad anyway.
Right. I mean, like, if you know that they're going to do a bad job in terms of the trade if they trade Ohtani, if you know they're going to do a bad job in terms of building around Ohtani if they keep him, in some respects, what difference does it make in terms of the actual decision if you don't have any confidence for them to do it right regardless of how they choose?
Okay, we have Ask M coming up, so can you stop making your Angels points? I mean, you're literally taking away from Ask M.
Well, I mean, there's no reason we can't do 2 segments.
There is no reason.
Or just bonus Ask M's throughout the show.
Okay, so Ask M coming up next. Emily is going to the Taylor Swift concert on Saturday. She just told us. We did not know before. She was very quiet about it.
I didn't even realize she liked Taylor Swift until
now. That's kind of funny you said that. I didn't either. I thought, couldn't even think of another artist. So
she always struck me as more of like a death metal head, but now we learned loves Taylor Swift.
Roar!
Yep.
That's going to be you at the concert?
Yep, it's Taylor Swift and Korn. I think those are the two that she always goes back and forth from in her car.
The 2 artists that move her the most.
I'd ask Em coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
There. Producer Emily, of course. And on today's celebrity edition of Ask Slee, seems appropriate that we do Ask M. And Ask M is presented by our friends at Harrah's Resort SoCal. Find your funner state of mind with a visit to Harrah's Resort SoCal. Voted best resort in funner California. From dining to unwinding, you'll find fun around every corner. Learn more at harrahssocal.com. Let's do it for your Wednesday Ask M right now.
All right, I like Morales saying T-Swizzle. How do I not reference her as T-Swizzle? I feel like I'm in if I call her T-Swizzle.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, you're the opposite of
For that matter, neither is Morales.
You were in 2010.
Guys, I'm going T-Swizzle the rest of the way.
Hey,
Never do I mention her without
Alan's
T-Swizzle.
the guy in the T-Swizzle shirt at the concert, looking cool.
They don't even let me in. Okay, I'm going to start off with
We
this.
know the ticket's valid, sir. We're just not letting you in.
Before I read a couple of these, Can you just give, I know you gave a little bit of the details. Can you just tell us what Saturday look like for Emily? What time is Emily waking up? Does she have to do something Friday? Do you stretch in the morning? What does Saturday look like before the T-Swizzle concert?
So the next few days, I'm going to try to stay very hydrated. You know, I don't want to be having any issues during the concert. I want to be fully present, all that stuff. Got to be extra hydrated because it's going to be really hot, and I'll probably be outside a lot on Saturday. So my sisters fly in Friday morning, and they're going to – Claire said that she doesn't want me to pick her up from the airport, so I'm not going to pick her up from the airport because she wants me to sleep, so I'm going to – whatever. And so then Friday – we're going to Disney after the show. Okay. So taking my sister's Disney. My younger sister Sarah's never been before.
Oh, she's gone. Mentally, tomorrow she's gone. If this has all happened on Friday, mentally she's gone tomorrow.
I mean, today I'm starting my Taylor Swift activities today. So I'm going to this friendship bracelet making / listening party in Arts District. Okay. They're also giving away like tickets and clothing and stuff.
Is Taylor Swift really into friendship bracelets?
Yes. So it's kind of a...
Big time. Good question, by the way.
It's a thing that people at the concerts do. They make friendship bracelets and you trade them. And so people come out with like arms full of friendship bracelets. People that work the stadium get friendship bracelets. They give it to VIPs.
Yeah, you should know that, by the way. It's in our rundown, and the fact that you don't is kind of BS to be honest with you.
It lets Emily know I don't read her emails, apparently. Okay. So really, what we talked about the Swifties.
Right.
But... As they are really, really protective of Taylor Swift. Like, they rally around her.
Yeah.
But they actually, it seems like there is a community between them.
It's very similar to, like, Deadheads or Parrot Heads, where you're, like, you have chants and back to, like, songs that she has that are fan-created. Like, there's things that happen in responses, call and response during the show. You have, you know, collective costumes. You have friendship bracelets. It's a really cool, again... I know everyone thinks it's lame, but if you like something and it's really fun to be part of a community and have
by the way, we have very similar stuff between the Travis and Sliwa community.
Right.
We have friendship bracelets. We meet with everybody once a week.
It's just you and Travis trading them back and forth, right?
Maybe.
But Saturday, I think we're doing brunch at my house, and then we're going to go pregame at my friend Christine's, who lives closer to the to SoFi, and probably start that like 3.
But it's an alcohol-free pregame.
For Emily.
For her.
For
everybody else, they're going to have a good time, and we're having themed snacks. I'm not making the snacks. Christine's making the snacks. I'm just really excited. It's going to be really fun.
This is like what people do with an Oscar party. You're doing this for the concert.
This is also like a Super Bowl. Literally, you're basically planning for a Sunday Super Bowl, except she's going to the actual Super Bowl.
And we'll probably get to SoFi around 5?
Friday.
Okay, this is not a good start, but I'm going to start with it anyways. John in Huntington Beach of Fullerton. Swift is being asked to postpone for her LA shows. Which item in your residence would you break first if she did cancel? What goes first?
I don't really even know. I don't want to contemplate it. Probably, I would probably throw my phone or something, I guess.
Yeah, the phone's gotta go.
I really don't think this is
It's
happen.
honestly,
I don't want to get into the politics of it. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think it's actually the wrong question to ask or the wrong way to frame it, because Emily's first reaction is, what's wrong with Taylor?
Yep.
How can I help?
Yeah.
Like, that's actually her first reaction, is to not even worry about herself. It's, what's the matter with Taylor Swift?
That's the
it's
community.
More of like consoling my sisters who flew across the country to come see this, my friends that are there, that kind of stuff. It's. I feel like it would be less about me and me missing out my opportunity.
Francis in Glendale, which T Swift song would you sing karaoke without reading the lyrics and still get 100% right?
I was thinking about Our Song because it's one of her oldest songs, and I've been listening to it since I was 8 years old. So I think that Our Song, and it's one of her first songs that she ever performed. So I think Our Song from her first debut album.
Okay, is this safe to say that basically if you're going to the Taylor Swift concert at any point this over these next, let's say, week or so, does everybody just basically know every single word? Okay.
Yeah. Unless you're there as an added thing to someone else, like if you're not actually a fan, but everybody knows all the words. Shotgun with my hair undone in the front seat of his car. He's got a one-hand
Jorge, if you
feel
just
on
pick
the
random
steering
songs,
wheel.
just throw another song in there.
I like this.
All right.
I like this. This challenge to Emily, just to start in the middle of talking, all of a sudden start singing.
Anyway.
Just some random songs there. AK, do you have any specific questions, any curiosity of what's going to be going on with T-Swizzle this weekend?
Like, how long are your sisters staying after the concert? And When do you guys go get the tattoos?
A month and a half.
Commemorating the event.
They're staying a month and a half.
So they're leaving Sunday on a red eye, Sunday evening. So they're going to come to Rams camp with me. So if you guys are also
All
at
right.
Rams camp, say hi to the Hebel sisters.
She's got to work on Sunday.
Yeah. It's been great.
Yeah.
Travis
But she won't be hungover.
She'll bring the glitter. She'll bring the glitter
I
to
will.
Rams camp.
So I'm doing this so on her album artwork for the Lover album, she has a sparkly heart around her eye. So I'm going to do that, and so I might still have some sparkles left over from that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I have a question.
Yes.
What
you got?
makes a friendship bracelet? Like how? Like what does it consist of? Like how do you like what's in it?
So
what's on
it's homemade, but you
Okay.
get this like kind of this like stretchy silver, like invisible string, and you put usually you do like little beads on it, and then you do like words. So sometimes people will do like the name of their favorite song. So if it's like Cruel Summer or Our Song, and then that's the words on the friendship bracelet, or you can have like a quote from Taylor Swift where she says something, or you can do like just initials for lyrics and songs and stuff. So people are getting really creative with it, doing whatever they want with it. But I'm going to make you guys some ESPN LA friendship bracelets.
Oh, yeah, we need those.
I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, we need those.
Yeah.
AK, you look like somebody that have 3 or 4 of those on by the time we get to tomorrow.
They're all around my ankles, though.
Wasn't expecting that.
It was all serious face
Yeah,
too.
big time.
Yeah,
Big time.
someone.
Wasn't expecting that.
I know someone asked if I had the choice between taking you, Alan, or Travis.
Yeah.
Who I would take if I had an extra ticket to
Okay.
front row. I think I would take you because I feel like you are
Yes.
a little more open-minded about Taylor Swift. You might be like, okay, let me see what this is all about. I feel like Travis knows what it's about and has already made his opinions about
Yeah,
it.
Trav would probably be angry just like driving over there.
Travis doesn't
Too
want to be
crowded.
around that many people.
He
Like,
wants
he's
to
the
leave,
wrong choice.
like halfway through the set because he wants to fight traffic.
Looking
and
for a
then
beer.
he also would probably do impressions of Taylor Swift to be the whole next couple months
That's
or
true.
whatever. So
That's true.
I feel like you're the safer bet if I had an extra
Okay,
ticket.
Basil on Twitter. What's your favorite Taylor Swift song and why is it All Too Well?
It's not my favorite Taylor Swift song. I do think it's one of her best written songs.
Okay.
My favorite Taylor Swift song is New Year's Day. It has sentimental value to me. It reminds me of my friend that passed away, and we used to listen to it together. And so that's why it means a lot to me. And they have these things called surprise songs at every stop on her tour, where she sings a song that she will only sing at one stop on the entire tour. So there's a lot of them that already passed because it's been going on for the past couple months.
Yeah.
But there is one that's still available, and it's New Year's Day, and I'm holding out that potentially she will sing New Year's Day at a show that I will be at. So I'm going to see.
It's unique. I like that.
We'll see.
Okay, that's interesting because I had heard, and apparently incorrectly, that she played like all of her songs at every single show.
No, she has a very wide catalog. She only sings 44 songs. So she's doing 44 songs every show.
Okay.
But there are 2 songs
That
that
she
are
mixes?
surprise songs that she plays acoustically and that are
Okay.
unique to each stop.
That makes more sense because when I heard that, I was like,
Who are
wait,
your sources?
Well, I don't know, the internet.
Yeah, I'm just trying to explain things, trying to get out of the fake news.
That was confusing to me because I'm like, because I'd heard the 44 songs thing. I'm like, she doesn't have more than 44 songs
she
after
doesn't
like
have more than
15 years?
Yeah.
So that makes way more sense.
Holding
How
out
about
the
that?
New
How
Year's
about-
Day is one of our shows.
How about 3.5 hours? Just 44 songs is her set. I mean, from what everybody said, you've even played some different athletes. I forget who it was just off the top of my head. But
Travis Kelce, JJ Watt.
a lot of love towards her shows.
Yeah, people enjoy her. It's not just
Yeah.
women. It's everybody
Well,
across the board.
in the case of Travis Kelce, there was a lot of love towards the performance, if you know what I mean.
A lot of love from Travis
A lot
Kelce.
of love.
All right, Ashley is brought to you by Harris Resort SoCal. Find your funner state of mind with a visit to Harris Resort SoCal. Voted best resort in Funner, California. From dining to unwinding, you'll find fun around every corner. Learn more at harrissocal.com. Yesterday, we talked about Anthony Davis's potential extension coming up this Friday. Can you build a team around Anthony Davis? If the best player on your team is Anthony Davis, what is that team? The Lakers could potentially run into that situation at some point if they sign AD to an extension and if LeBron James, who's going into his 21st year, at some point decides to stop playing basketball. Do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
To the memories they will hold on to you.
I feel so much more educated about Taylor Swift concert now. Yeah, it's kind of walking in and we're going to do an Ask Him. I feel like an educated man right now.
I feel like we've been educated, yet we're going to learn an awful lot more over the next 2.5 days.
You might be right on that.
Roars! We're going to learn a lot.
What's our count? Our count's a lot less than I think yesterday. But our count didn't really start, Jorge, until the 11 o'clock hour.
Yeah, I know.
What are we at, like 4 or 5?
Right now we're at 4.
Well, it depends on whether or not you're counting Emily having to say Taylor Swift.
That's all we're counting. It's not references. Because if it was references, I think we're at 109.
Yeah. But that's Emily's workaround. Like, if she's trying to keep the count low to basically, upstate, show us.
To
basically try to pull the rug out from under us.
numbers.
That's the obvious workaround.
Pretty shady, Em.
The
Pretty
artist
damn
formerly known
shady.
as.
I mean, yes and no and Emily. Kind of no-ending us right now, to be honest.
ESPN LA and Hollywood Park Casino are giving 12 fantasy football commissioners the chance to win a fantasy football season experience, including the ultimate fantasy draft party for their ESPN fantasy football leagues and weekly prizes throughout the season. What do you do and how do you be a part of it? You just register now at ESPNLA.com. Scroll for the Hollywood Park Casino logo. Very, very easy. Again, just go to the website. And we'll see you on Friday, August 18th at HPC, Hollywood Park Casino, Eat, Drink, Draft. We spent a little bit of time on this yesterday. We were talking a little bit about Anthony Davis and his extension coming up on Friday. By the way, I know yesterday we were kind of playing out all these different scenarios. By the time we're back here on Monday, has AD and do you think AD and the Lakers have agreed to an extension?
I'm going to say no,
okay,
just because I don't know if it has to be done right away. And, I don't even know if Anthony Davis is in L.A. He could be on vacation. Remember D'Angelo Russell was the last of the guys signed in free agency.
And he wasn't – we didn't hear from him.
Right. It turned out he was overseas. I want to say, Croatia.
Was he doing a camp or something like that? Or okay. Yep.
No, he was, I believe, on a vacation.
Okay.
He was off having fun, which is fine. But remember, for 3 or 4 days, there were all these – perhaps, it's
he got caught in the airport.
There were all these conspiracy theories maybe the Lakers are looking to amend this. It could be a sign-in trade. Are they getting Miles Turner after all? It turned out, no, he's on vacation. He's going to sign his contract, and he did.
It's so weird that rumors around the Lakers just out of nowhere. That never comes up. Then let me push it out a little bit further. By the time training camp starts for the Lakers, AD and the Lakers agree to an extension?
Yeah, I do.
I think so, too.
I do.
I don't think this is I don't think it will be shocking. I think at some point, and I went through the numbers yesterday, I think he's the 3 years added to the 2 years, it's probably going to be north of 250. We spent a little time on this yesterday about talking about different scenarios. Should they do it? Should they not? What are all the different scenarios out there? It's a question that I would ask. If at some point LeBron James is going to stop playing basketball, he's going into he's going into his 21st season. You know what's crazy, AK? Do you remember that when he came to the Lakers and it was this is some of the conversation was this is it. This is not just about basketball. This is Hollywood. This is his chance to whatever. He's going to build his businesses. How long ago was that?
That began in 2018. He signed in the offseason of 2018.
We're in 2023, and the man is not only just playing, he's still performing. At some point, especially if Anthony Davis signs this extension, there is going to be a time where LeBron James is not on the Lakers with Anthony Davis. I thought Emily brought up a good point yesterday, and we get a chance to get into it. Can you build a team around Anthony Davis? Or how about this? What does that team look like? If AD's the best player on your team, what does that team look like? I've always said this when it comes to AD. I don't think that Anthony Davis as the best player on your team, you're going to win a championship. I don't think you're a championship contender with Anthony Davis as the best player on your team. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's how I've always looked at AD. I don't have disrespect to Anthony Davis. I think his game's unbelievable. I think he gets too much criticism because we look at just what he does offensively, and we don't look enough at how he dominates the other side of the floor. But I also don't think if AD's the best player on your team, you have a legitimate chance to compete for a championship. I know there's a lot of details I left out of that.
Well, what's interesting about that, broadly speaking, I think you may be correct. Like, just in the sense that with Anthony Davis and the health issues, you're always going to be concerned about his availability. And if his availability isn't high enough and he's your best player, that in and of itself can put a cap on
Can
your
I help
team.
you on that one?
Sure.
Say he's available.
If Anthony Davis is available,
65 games.
65 to 70 games, assuming there is a good supporting cast around him, because you can't expect anybody to win the whole thing by themselves.
No.
Look, the truth is this. LeBron was the focal point of the 2020 championship team, and he was the finals MVP.
Yep.
You can make an argument during that playoff run that Anthony Davis was as good as LeBron was.
Sure.
So, if nothing else, we've seen that if AD is tied for the best player on your team, you can win a championship. AD was so good in that championship run that, remember, afterwards there were conversations about whether he had passed Giannis as perhaps the best player in the game, or could Anthony Davis be entering a space where he becomes the best player in the game. That's where people started really talking about the idea of, okay, maybe this torch can be passed.
Yep.
From LeBron.
AD passed it right back to him. No, I'm good. I'm good. You take the torch.
Hang on to that a little
You take
longer
that,
there,
yeah,
LeBron.
Yeah, or hold it with me.
I mean, one of the things that holds back Anthony Davis, I think both in perception and also in some respects performance, he's not wired naturally to be like a dominant alpha male personality.
Yeah.
That's not who he is.
Yeah.
That's not to say that he can't play like one.
But you're right that you just look at his game, too. He's not a player saying, give me the damn ball. He's not there. That's just, I'm with you. He just kind of plays within the flow of the game.
And sometimes he takes over.
But there are times where I think there is a little bit of, from a fan perspective, AD, take over the game.
Well, especially, too, like the modern Laker audience has been very Kobe-fied. Like, they view all of this stuff through the prism of what Kobe was. And Kobe was one of the most alpha males, forget in NBA history, in like sports history.
Yep.
Kobe was as alpha male as they came. He was as much of an outward killer as they came.
Even as a 20-year-old playing with Shaq.
Yes,
he was
absolutely.
an alpha male.
Right.
Why are we, yeah.
And to great success. You know, Kobe is arguably the greatest Laker of all time. Mm-hmm. If it's not him, I think it's Magic. And Magic, despite the smile, that dude was a killer.
Sure.
LeBron, we know, is a killer. He's been a killer over the course of his career. He's been criticized, I think, at times for not being one because he'll make passes instead of scoring. But the truth is, LeBron's a killer.
I agree. Yep.
If you don't give LeBron credit for being a killer, you're just not paying attention. Anthony Davis, is he a killer? I don't know. He can be devastating, but his personality is not killer, which makes you wonder about some aspects of performance. It makes you wonder about some aspects of leadership that comes with being the best player on a team the franchise face. It's different with Anthony Davis than it is with other superstars.
I want to go back to something you said, because you said after 2020, there was real chatter and conversation about this might be AD's league here moving forward.
Yeah,
you remember
there was.
ESPN did they did a player ranking after the 2020 season. LeBron was 1, AD was 2. AD was in front of Giannis, in front of Embiid, in front of Joker, in front of all those guys that we compare him to. And now really, for the most part, especially, I mean, I make sure I put it right, there is no comparison. Nikola Jokic, I would make the argument, is the best player in the NBA right now. Giannis, if you said, hey, do you want Giannis or AD? Everyone's taking Giannis. You want Embiid or AD? Everybody's taking Embiid. I believe, at least that's what I would do. But it's not just about, the reason why I asked the question, if you sign Anthony Davis to this extension, you're going to obviously have years where Anthony Davis now is expected to be the best player on the Lakers, to represent the Lakers as in that's the foundational piece.
Unless there's somebody else you're bringing in.
But that's the point that I'm making is it's not that I don't think you can win championships with Anthony Davis if LeBron's not there. But if you're telling me AD is the best player on your team and the next player is a little step behind him, I don't feel good about that. Now, there's a lot more, when I say I'm leaving out a lot of details, what do the role players look like? Who's the other star that comes in? I know all those questions are incredibly important, but with Bron, you can obviously, you're winning because he's the best player. With Kobe, you're winning because he's the best player. I always looked at Anthony Davis like the Pau Gasol rather than the Kobe or something along those lines.
AD is a really specific case, too, because he is closer to Pau in perception alongside LeBron than he is to being LeBron or Kobe. But the truth is, Anthony Davis is a better player than Pau Gasol. Pau was really, really good.
Because of the other side.
But because of the other side.
Yeah.
I mean,
he takes over games.
Right.
How many times in the playoffs, you're like, he had 4 blocks and 2 steals.
Yeah, Pau was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Anthony Davis is a better player. So he occupies this interesting space of not quite the true 1A, but better than the 1B. And when I get back to the idea of perception, too, like you mentioned, like people would take Joel Embiid ahead of Anthony Davis. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of that debate necessarily, but Joel Embiid has not had really any more playoff success than Anthony Davis has had. And I'm even talking about when AD was in New Orleans, because a lot of those teams were not really that good.
Yep.
When Anthony Davis was given a solid team to work with in New Orleans, I don't think he really was any worse than Joel Embiid. Like, Joel Embiid, I don't think – he's never been to an Eastern Conference Finals. I don't believe so.
Oh, they lost a year to the Raptors.
But Joel Embiid's personality is that of a killer.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that outward big personality. He's more demonstrative than AD. Like he is seen as more of a big game player. Is he though?
You want to swap them? Let's say Embiid was with LeBron for the last 3 years. What would that team look like?
I don't
in the
know.
Western
Ask me about
Conference?
Embiid, who's always hurt too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
So, but I'm gonna the hurt thing I can't do anything about because AD has been hurt. Embiid has had some time.
That's
where he's
my
hurt.
point.
But if I'm making the case of Embiid is healthy with the Lakers, AD is healthy with the Lakers, and one of those two guys are playing with LeBron James, for me at least, I'm leaning. It's almost a no discussion for me that I'm leaning towards Embiid.
I wonder though if you watched Embiid on a game in game out basis, you'd actually feel that way. Mm-hmm. Because, and I say this Embiid's really good. That's not my point.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a lot easier to find the weaknesses of players when you watch them game in, game out, and to think other players are less flawed than they are when you don't see them on a game in, game out basis.
Yeah. Well, we're just seeing. I'm watching my highlights real quick, and I saw Embiid scored 42.
Yeah, look, Embiid's
with the Lakers, we're watching every single possession
Embiid's
of Anthony
really
Davis.
good. That's not my point. And if you choose Embiid, you can justify it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, when you look at the actual track record, he hasn't really accomplished anything that AD hasn't.
You're saying when AD was in New Orleans as the best
or just
player.
overall.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony Davis hasn't won MVP like Embiid, but AD also was never in a position where he'd be the number one guy on a team that was really good, that you'd even be in that type of MVP running.
ESPN did something. I haven't really seen an article like this. They did something they call what if scenarios for the Western Conference from ESPN. And one of the scenarios was, what if the Lakers did not make a deal for Russell Westbrook? How much different would it have looked, what was that now, 2 years ago if the Lakers didn't make that move? Want to spend a little time on that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
Introducing
So we got Scott Kaplan. And this afternoon show, Sedano and Cap. Scott Kaplan.
The confidence is up there. That goes without saying. I've always thought that, where you wear Nikes with a suit, it can be kind of a tacky look. But if you don't wear an undershirt and you wear those glasses, then maybe it pulls it together. So I'm going to give that one, just for the fact that he knows what he's doing, I'm going to give him a 6.
Would you wear that yourself?
No. Never, ever be seen in that.
Honestly, suit's not bad. The no undershirt, raises it up a little bit to where I'd probably say 8.5.
Would you wear that fit?
100%.
Shoes on point. I get at a 7 too.
Would you do the same thing? Show the little taco?
I definitely show the chest. Gotta show the chest.
I ain't gonna lie, it's different. You got the Dior shoes on it, the nice hat. I like the glasses. No shirt with the chain. He get a 10. I give my man an 8. I give him an 8 out of 10. He nice little drip.
Do you think you can pull that off with no shirt?
Nah, I don't think I pull it out like he pulled it out. Nah,
So Al and I are teaming up for your chance to win an entire office full of lunch from Waba Grill. So you're going to want to be listening all day during the 12 o'clock lunch hour for your cue to call to pick up food for the entire office, courtesy of Waba Grill.
We got some ribeye, we got some chicken, we got some shrimp.
I'm making it sound like I cook them myself. Look at these boom boom tacos. You can visit wabagrill.com. You can order online. Just go on in, get yourself some of these tacos. Visit your local Waba Grill location. Of course, walk right in. Of course, you can order online for delivery or pickup. Waba Grill, right? Eat smart, be healthy. Boom boom, kaboom.
ESPN with Sedano and Cap. The fun way to drive home.
I really can't stand this new way of calling.
ESPN.
I'll give you $100 if you guess who this is.
So you see my AK, when did you perform this?
I've done it multiple times. I'm trying to remember which year this was.
How does this get released?
$100 if you can guess who this is.
I have no idea.
It's like William Hung? Someone like that?
I have no idea.
DeAndre actually sent me this.
DeAndre, awesome performance, brother.
It's James Harden.
Tell me it's not James.
It's James Harden.
No way.
It is James Harden. From a commercial. Foot Locker commercial.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's James Harden.
That sounds like James Harden.
That has to be the only one. That is not good. That is not a good commercial for James Harden. Oh my gosh.
I think he has beautiful pipes.
Exactly.
By the way, shout out to Pizza Hut in the house. Greatly appreciate their partnership here. They've done a ton with us over the last couple of years, so we appreciate them coming in.
They deserved better than hearing that from James Harden. I feel like we should treat our partners better than that.
Oh my gosh. That was James Harden. I don't even know what to do with that.
I wonder if he...
It's my new ringtone. We were talking ringtones earlier in the week. It's going to be my new ringtone.
I imagine James Harden singing that to certain ladies in the club. Like that. That's what he does when he wants the ladies to give him a little extra attention.
Look at my beard.
That song is the equivalent of James Harden on defense.
No, that song is James Harden's. That song is his code for lap dance.
Oh,
like when he just wants to lap dance. Just starts busting that out.
Well, no, she dances to that song.
He sings it as she does the dance.
No, it's playing in the club.
He has it on repeat. That's it. Every time he goes to that club, that's the only song that they play. DeAndre likes it. DeAndre's like, okay. Where's the hook at?
DeAndre's already thinking about remixes. He loves this.
Okay, I still have. Remember, I told you
Sounds
guys.
like Andre 3000 drunk or something.
Oh,
it sounds
no.
so bad.
Remember, I told you guys on Monday that I would not stop listening to that dude, the Harry Mack guy on YouTube. Remember, I mentioned that I said as a rapper, a lyricist,
Freestyle
everything else.
rapper, yeah.
Freestylist,
I still
whatever.
can't stop listening. I still can't. Jorge, I think you would appreciate it. I need you at some point after the show.
There's a tournament from Red Bull in Spanish.
Okay.
Same thing. They give them words and they rap for like 60 seconds or whatever it is. It's a Red Bull competition that's worldwide.
You know when I think he really started getting noticed was during COVID. And I forget what the site is, but there's a certain site you go on and you just randomly, there's all these different people. You just kind of like enter a room, and then he would just tell whoever enters the room. It's both on video. Hey, I freestyle. You okay if I freestyle for you? Sure. They have no idea what's going on. Okay, give me 3, 4, or 5 random words.
Stapler.
And then literally, it's like that, right? And then he would just kill it. I'm still addicted to it.
Do you think James Harden can do that?
Now I'm gonna get addicted to James Harden's raps as well.
Well, now it's going to be stuck in my head.
That's not that off. That's not that off.
No.
I would actually say that yours was a little bit better.
It was a
I think
little
you
better.
should collaborate with James Harden on his next track. Did you get a chance to see this this article on ESPN? They had all these what if scenarios in the Western Conference, and there's a number of them. You could one of them is what if the Memphis Grizzlies didn't move up to get Ja Morant in the draft? What if the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, didn't get hurt in the 2021 playoffs? It's just, there's a number of them. What if the Warriors took LaMelo Ball instead of James Wiseman? I know it's easy to look at it now and kind of play out these scenarios. One of the scenarios on there was what if the Los Angeles Lakers didn't make the Russell Westbrook trade? And look, I remember clear as day. Do you remember? There were a couple of things that went on that day. And this was in the middle of the summer a couple years ago. This obviously 2021. It was the same day that the Dodgers traded for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of we're sitting in this day in the summer, and you're like, oh my gosh, how about L.A. right now? L.A. just went out there and got Russell Westbrook. The Lakers end up with Russell Westbrook. The Dodgers go out at the trade deadline, and they get this is probably why some of the heat Andrew Friedman was getting from yesterday's because he's made also some great moves at the trade deadline. They got Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. And Travis and I are doing the show. And listen, I'm going to give Travis a lot of credit on this because it was not a popular opinion. And I think a lot of times when things happen, it's so easy to get caught up in the moment without worrying about any of the details. It's like this individual is now a Los Angeles Laker. Now you just assume because Russell Westbrook, his history, how long he's been in the league, a former MVP, they're going to figure it out and make it work. Trav was, guys, I don't like the fit. How is this going to fit? And I think there's a lot of times that you look at, especially in the NBA, just get the talent and they'll figure it out. That's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Put the talent together and they'll figure it out. Not the best example, but Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. It's not the best example because I actually think there's these.
It's easier to picture how they'll fit.
It's easier to picture how it will fit. Okay, maybe there's a better example. Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. I don't know how that one. I'm not as sold on that one.
Well, I think the fit is pretty easy when it's Chris Paul largely playing off the bench without those other guys.
How is it when Chris Paul's asked the question right after he goes to the Warriors and he's like, well, are you the coach?
I mean, that's Chris Paul being Chris Paul. He's stubborn, whatever.
You're not wrong.
He's going to come off the bench. It'll be fine.
So let's put that to the side. But I'm giving examples of there's certain times that there's kind of questions of fit. I don't know what would have happened if Russell Westbrook never got traded to the Lakers associated to this article on ESPN.
I know what would have happened. Lakers would have been better. That's absolutely what would have happened.
Well, remember, they're coming off the playoff loss to the Suns because AD got injured.
Right.
KCP, Kyle Kuzma, you probably then keep Alex Caruso as well. Those are the three players that you end up keeping, and you kind of just continue to build whatever it was.
I remember before this deal happened, there had been about a week or so where there were a little bit of rumors about the Lakers being it.
Just before, I hate to interrupt you. Can you play Harden in the background just a little bit, if you don't mind? Can you quietly play Harden in the background, if you don't mind? I'd appreciate that. Please continue.
Rumors of Westbrook and Lakers. I remember hearing like a little bit of rumors that the Lakers would be.
No, keep going. Don't let this distract you at all.
They were thinking big three. But there, it's so hard to do this.
You can do it, man. You can do it. This is good radio exercise.
There had been some rumors about the Lakers interested in Westbrook. And Brian and I, on the Locked on Lakers podcast.
He's turning it up.
I know. Look, now it's become a challenge. Now it's me just not backing down to this challenge. I'm gonna power through this thing. Crank up Harden. I don't care. Yeah, whatever. Play it louder, I'll get louder. Whatever. Two can play this game. But anyway, Brian and I on the Locked on Lakers podcast, which is available 5 days a week, anywhere
Monday
you
through
get your
Friday.
anywhere you get your podcast.
There's also, by the way, a YouTube component.
There is a YouTube component.
Nice little piece on Cam Reddish that recently came out as well. Yeah,
really good scouting report. But we actually did a show dedicated to the idea of this can't possibly be happening. These rumors are just because it's the Lakers, because this makes no sense. Like, we actually asked the question, who does this trade make less sense for, the Lakers or the Wizards? Like, we were like, this makes no sense for either of these teams. And it just like the idea of the fit.
I think Lakers won the less
absolutely.
Less sense. Yeah.
Like, the fit issues were so obvious and so glaring. It was like, look, if you manage to make this work, by definition, it means it's working well, because there's no in between. It's either going to somehow work incredibly well, or it's going to be an absolute disaster. There's no in between. But we were like, okay, this has to be a BS rumor. Like, it has to be, because it makes no sense to bring in Russell Westbrook with LeBron and Anthony Davis just on a skill set level. And
there was one. I thought there was one angle that could make it make sense. Just the mere fact that Bron's later in his career, it doesn't mean you have to play Bron and Russ the entire time. There's going to be a lot of times Russ and AD kind of run things. That's the only angle.
No, you could talk yourself into that explanation, but the problem is, it'd be one thing if Russ was just going to be like the sub for LeBron. Yeah. Like, you're bringing him in just to, like, kind of like the way I think Chris Paul is going to be with the Warriors.
But this is $47 million associated
and
with
also
Russ.
Russell Westbrook was still at a place where he can justifiably think, I should be playing 35 minutes a night. So if he's going to be playing 30 to 35 minutes a night, that means he has to be playing some of those minutes with LeBron. It doesn't make sense. And you got your own infrastructure of guys like Kuzma and KCP
of depth
who fit perfectly. That's why I was like, this has to be just, it's trade season, and Lakers are always connected to everybody.
So the what-if scenario, I think we just played out the what-if scenario.
Yeah, they would have been
Russell
better.
Westbrook was
they would have been way better.
A Los Angeles Laker. All right, we got Factor Cap coming up next. There's also, I want to spend a little time on this at 11:45. Is the Pac-12 dead? Has it been dead, and it's just a matter of time before the final nail goes in the coffin? We'll talk about that at 11:45. Factor Cap coming up next. AK in for Travis Rogers, Travis and Sliwa Show.
So Al and I are teaming up for your chance to win an entire office full of lunch from Waba Grill. So you're going to want to be listening all day during the 12 o'clock lunch hour for your cue to call to pick up food for the entire office, courtesy of Waba Grill.
We got some ribeye, we got some chicken, we got some shrimp.
I'm making it sound like I cook them myself. Look at these boom boom tacos.
You can visit wabagrill.com. You can order online. Just go on in, get yourself some of these tacos. Visit your local Waba Grill location. Of course, walk right in. Of course, you can order online for delivery or pickup. Waba Grill, right? Eat smart, be healthy. Boom boom, kaboom.
Oh, that's cap. That's so cap, Dad.
Everything I've said is a cap, but I'm going to go fact.
First of all, it's not a cap. It's
No, it
just
is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys, where am I at right now, Jorge? What's the numbers?
It can't be 5.
You're at
6.
5 or 6.
Yeah, it's not
Okay,
that many.
okay.
Again, I think Emily conquered the workaround.
I'm on a pitch count.
She took it personal. Yeah. She's trying to go 8 innings.
Well, she's trying to have her cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
She wants to be able to talk about Taylor Swift all she wants, but not be mocked for having a count of like 5,000.
Yeah.
Right,
that's the point.
exactly.
It's like
And-
Lance Lynn yesterday. They need him to go. You got to eat up some innings.
And
She's trying to eat up
yesterday,
innings.
I had the perfect number because Taylor Swift's favorite
6.
number is 13. So it's a lot of things in her lore of her own self.
Okay.
13 is very
Oh,
important.
for 22 today. If you know, you know. If you know, you know, right, Em?
Yep.
Yep, another one is 22. All right, so Bill Belichick was asked during training camp about, because everyone's being asked this, Barbie versus Oppenheimer. But he was asked if he would see either movie or both movies. And he said he doesn't want to see Barbie, but does think that Oppenheimer looks quote-unquote interesting.
Okay.
So is there anyone in the world that is better created to see the movie Oppenheimer than Bill Belichick? Alan, Factor Cap?
I don't think there is. I think it's a fact. I think Belichick is the right person. I think the fact whoever asked him that question as well, I really like that.
He's not seeing Barbie. Let's just all be realistic.
But
He's never going to see Barbie.
But I like because there's such a buzz and a craze. I think you were giving me some numbers that AMC, the money they made specifically,
it's the
AMC,
biggest week in their history of the company, and they've been around for over 100 years.
I'm seeing it tonight. I'm going to see, just actually confirm that on my walk to the restroom with my
Nice.
girl. That's 7 o'clock. We're going to go see it tonight.
Oppenheimer? Nice.
So basically we'll be there till 11:30. But I think he's the perfect person to where, can't you just see in his head all the wheels
What makes
just
a great
spinning?
man.
Yes, all that
War,
stuff.
tough decisions.
I think it's fact.
I mean, he is somebody who's spent an entire career destroying worlds.
Exactly.
I mean, in all honesty,
Yes.
he has been blowing up everything around him. So it feels like a movie that would spark Belichick's interest. Yes.
He seems like a Nolan head for sure. Jorge, what
I
about
don't
you?
know if he's a Nolan head.
No, I'm with the guys.
I don't picture Bill Belichick sitting through Tenet like, all right,
Or
this
in-
is my
or
speed.
Interstellar.
baby. Yeah, no. He's somebody that would find Oppenheimer
You would like
interesting.
Dark Knight, maybe.
Yeah, I could see him pretty much everybody liked Dark Knight.
Yeah, exactly. Jorge, what do you think?
No, I'm with the guys on this one. I think he's perfect for it. And then the question, they're going to ask about football. What's he going to say? Nothing. So
No, he's
might
gonna
as
say
well
nothing.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, just
No,
have
that's
fun
what I'm
with a
saying.
question like this
I
one.
like, especially it's such a hot topic right now, to get Belichick's
his take on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people throw stuff at
yeah.
Belichick all the time, and it's just he's an interesting guy. He's got his own tastes,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also I've heard he's like really funny if you get him in the right
a
circumstances.
dry sense of humor.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you know who said he's really funny? Belichick. Nobody else said it.
All right, so I've gotten to this issue. I was looking at my friend's phone the other day because he was showing me something, but he had like a gazillion notifications everywhere. It just drives me crazy. So you need to eliminate all notifications of those little number red marks on your phone at all times. So you need to eliminate all notifications on your phone. Andy, Factor Cap.
That's a fact. It starts just to bug you.
Which one is it? The text messages that bother you?
The
The
text
most?
one
Is it
specifically.
email? Is it
the emails? I always know I have a certain amount unread, and some of them are left unread for a reason. Like I don't want to forget about them. Like I've even read them, but I mark them as unread because I want to make sure that I do something to address them. Some of them are emails I've sent to myself, like articles that I've wanted to read. I don't have time to read them, but I want to make sure I don't forget about them.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a bit of a pack rat that way when it comes to like links. I guess I'm a hoarder of links in that sense. The texts though bother me.
Yeah.
I like having my square, the square with the text count. I like it clean.
Mm-hmm.
It bothers me if it sits unclean.
Al?
fact on this too? I will say there's certain things that don't bother me. My work email, probably once every 2 days, it's clean. I'm going to get through everything that I need to get to. My Gmail, I was just looking right now. I have 1,400 unread, but who is it from?
Oh, dude.
Who is
It's
it
all
from?
spam.
Yeah, it's all like I'll tell you right now.
That would stress the living bleep out of me. I'm not going to lie. 1,400?
So for Gmail, you guys are up to date on all those emails as well? Really?
I delete them all right away unless it's something that I look at the sale and it's good. But like if you just keep
up with it. I think I got overwhelmed with Gmail where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to keep up with this stuff. So I have
Foot Locker.
1,407 Foot Locker. That's awesome. 1,004. So obviously email doesn't matter. Text message matters. Voicemail, I'm not as good as cleaning up my voicemail. I don't know. I just feel like people still... I don't leave
voicemails now?
I leave voicemails for specific people.
Do you?
Yeah, for specific things, yeah.
I don't leave voicemails.
I would say 97% of my voicemails are from my mother because she can't learn how to text.
Well, this happens a lot, right? You call somebody, they don't answer, and you text, call me.
Yeah.
That's it. Like I don't.
Or you say why you're calling or whatever.
Yeah.
You say, oh, hey, I'm calling because I want to get this specific thing, whatever.
I never leave voicemails, but I have voicemails that I have not cleaned up.
I like voicemails, and it's a very nice thing to keep, you know? I like to keep that
Okay,
stuff.
on your phones right now, look.
Yep.
How many tabs do you have open?
Oh, yeah, let me look at that. 1,
pretty good
2,
at that.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, way too many.
Wow, that many.
Okay,
I have 8.
I'm looking right now at my Safari, which is, again, a lot of articles. It gets back to
Safari is definitely...
My Safari, 245 tabs.
What are you talking about?
Wow.
You know, like...
you have 200... No, you don't.
Well,
you have 245 tabs. You never just
doesn't
decided... Close them all?
No, because I don't want to forget this article. That's what it is.
You can save it to your reading list. You know that, right? Yeah.
245 tabs. He has tabs from August 2021.
Wait, let me see. But Jorge, what do you think?
You have Russell Westbrook. You have a Westbrook tab there.
Russell Westbrook is a Laker?
I only have 28 tabs, actually, so it's not as bad as I thought.
What's this COVID thing?
Yeah, right. Like, that's going to turn into a pandemic. Yeah. Okay, everyone relax, all right?
I thought you were talking about the apps that were left open. I have, I have a lot of apps I have not closed out.
Apps, I'm with you. I have 8. I think 8 was on there.
I know. I have, 20 million. All right, Jorge, what do you think?
What bothers you? What of those bother you the most?
The green bubbles from you. That bothers me the most. No, but I hate the notifications. Brenda I checked her phone. She's like, hey, can you have my phone? Yeah. She had over 2,000 emails unread.
Oh,
I was like, no, like, what are you doing?
Her and I should hang out.
She's like,
her and I should send emails to each other.
There's just offers and stuff like that. Like, it's just BS, you know? But yeah, notifications, I hate them. I keep my red bubbles clear. I hate notifications like that.
All right, yeah. Andy, you tweeted this out yesterday. You tweeted out a picture of our guy Travis over there looking over our shoulder over the show. So those who don't watch this on YouTube, though you should, it's a great way to consume the show. But we have a bunch of cutouts of mostly athletes around the studio. But we
then at noon during the Waba Grill lunch hour,
of course,
Andy spins the Boom Boom Tacos for about, what'd you do it yesterday, 12 minutes?
Yeah, and then I get yelled at by Morales by not putting it back perfectly, the right angle.
That's right.
Exactly. But there are also, in addition to athletes in the Waba Grill Boom Boom Taco, we have a life-size cutout of some of our coworkers. So, if you had to take home a coworker's life-size cutout and you had to put it in a space in your house that you would have to see it every day,
all the time,
you would want it to be a cutout out of Travis. Jorge, fact or cap?
Fact. I'll put it in the front door. The first thing you see is Travis right there.
Arms folded across.
Arms folded with a welcome sign, taped to his hand or something.
Yeah. All right, Al, what about you?
Oh, Trev. My buddy.
Would you want it to be yourself?
So Alex Morgan's out?
Yeah.
No, it has to be a coworker. Or yourself.
Right. So Alex Morgan's out?
Yes.
Does it have to be somebody that we know has a cutout, or for this premise, will the cutout be created for them?
I think that it's a host on one of the 3 shows that we have.
Okay,
I'll take... I will rather have a cutout of myself than Travis when I walk in, because my girl would be like, this is really odd. Even though it's odd that you have a cutout of yourself, it's more odd that you have a cutout with Travis after you do a show with him for 3.5 hours a day.
I can't decide if Cappy would be like the most delightful or most unsettling.
Because you can dress him up. You can give him like a little party hat or something.
No, I think Cap would be delightful.
The magician point?
That's right.
You know what? I think I'm going Cappy.
Yeah.
I think I would end up in a good mood if every morning I look over, I wave to Cappy.
You know what I thought you were going to say? Why stop at one? I'll take them all. I thought you wanted the whole lineup.
Order a set.
So funny story. I'll tell it really quickly. I don't know if I told this on the show before, but I went to school and I lived in this house, and on the little lookout on the top of the house, we'd put a cutout of Stephen Colbert. Because we thought it was kind of funny. It's like, oh, it looks like Stephen Colbert's just like looking over the door at anyone who comes in. So my friend drops me off at my house one night, and she was like, wait, is that Stephen Colbert? And I was like, yeah, we have this like joke. We love Stephen Colbert. And she takes a picture of it. Turns out she is very good family friends with Stephen Colbert. Like, goes to Thanksgiving with Stephen Colbert. So she sent it to his daughter, and I hope that it got to him at some point and had a laugh. Or he thought it was really crazy and weird, so who knows.
There was, around the election, let's just say it was an interesting time, right? There were some cutouts that were out there. There was one cutout.
What happened during the election?
Let me tell you how funny this was. Every time I'd go on this certain walk that I'd go on, there's this house, beautiful home, 2 stories. On the second story, there's a balcony, and there is a cutout of Trump and Melania, and he's like this. Trump is like this, and that cutout is just sitting there for like 4 months. I'm like, we get it. You're voting for Trump. We understand that.
My parents do a timeshare most years in Balboa Island, like a couple months a year, because they want to see Brian and I. They want to see the grandkids, but also St. Louis is really cold. It's difficult for my mom in that temperature, so they come out here. And they get the same timeshare every year. One of their neighbors has had a Trump standee. I'm not kidding, for like 6 years, but always in this one window, just staring at you. Like, I don't care if you love Trump, you hate Trump, whatever. It's really strange to just walk out the door and have Donald Trump looking at you.
I don't know why, but that to me is the funniest thing. If that's your vote, cool, awesome, do your thing. You don't need a cutout outside of your home letting you know that it's him.
This thing
and the other side, I don't need to see Biden on there as well.
Yeah, this thing, it's just, you walk out this one door, like the back door of my parents' place, and immediately Trump is staring at you with this thumbs up through this one window. And like it almost looks discarded, like they forgot about it. Like they don't even realize that it's still there. It looks like it could be like a corner room that doesn't get used often, but it is really unnerving.
My sister and I, growing up in our house, I would open my door and their door is right across from me. And so for the longest time, they were big One Direction fans. And so they had a live cutout of Harry Styles, but it would just like peek around the corner. So they left their door open. I looked like there was a man in their room, and I was always get freaked out. So a little different than Trump, but we have Harry Styles looking at me.
Yeah. Trump or Biden cutouts, 877. No, don't do that.
Oh my gosh. Please don't call about that.
Don't do that. All right. Is the Pac-12 dead?
Pence or Kamala Harris cutout? Totally
No.
cool. That's totally cool. We'll take that call.
I want to go through the entire.
All right, we got to go.
We got some Supreme Court cutouts. All right. We come back as the Pac-12 dead. Paul Feinbaum laid into the Pac-12 and that a lot of these other schools should jump ship. Did it die with USC and UCLA? We'll do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
So we got Scott Kaplan. He's in this afternoon show, Sedano and Cap. Scott Kaplan.
The confidence is up there. That goes without saying. I've always thought that, you wear Nikes with a suit, it can be kind of a tacky look. But if you don't wear an undershirt and you wear those glasses, then maybe it pulls it together. So I'm going to give that one, just for the fact that he knows what he's doing, I'm going to give him a 6.
Would you wear that yourself?
No. Never, ever, ever be seen in that.
Honestly, suit's not bad. The no undershirt raises it up a little bit to where I'd probably say 8.5.
Would you wear that fit?
100%.
Shoes on point. I get at a 7 too.
Would you do the same thing? Show the little taco?
I definitely show the chest. Gotta show the chest.
I ain't gonna lie, it's different. You got the Dior shoes on it. The nice hat. I like the glasses. No shirt with the chain. He get a 10. I give my man an 8. I give him an 8 out of 10. He nice little drip.
Do you think you can pull that off with no shirt?
Nah, I don't think I can pull it out like he pulled it out. Nah,
think Tim McGraw. I hope you think my favorite song.
Fun fact.
The one we
This is Taylor Swift's very first single ever. It came out in 2006.
Yep.
She was 17 years old.
Damn.
It stayed on the Billboard Hot 100 for 20 weeks, peaking at 40, and it was number 6 on the Hot Country charts.
All right, I'm gonna ask you this, AK.
That makes 8 if we're keeping count.
Yeah, and the great thing is DeAndre behind Emily just threw up an 8 as well. Like he's also keeping track, so he's on it.
She's 17 years old, guys.
Let's just say you don't have any affiliation, any of that. Somebody gives you a ticket to go this weekend. Would you go?
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
go too. I'd go too. I really would.
I mean, this is the concert event of like the last couple years.
I know nothing. Whatever Emily has shared with us on here is the most info that I have on Taylor Swift. If somebody said, "Hey, here's a ticket. You want to go?" I'm in.
No, I would
I'd
absolutely
go.
Yeah. I mean, just for the experience of going to this concert that's such a hard ticket to get, I'd absolutely go.
Yeah, I'd leave 17 songs in because there's 44 total.
Hey, you gotta beat
It's
traffic.
a lot of songs.
You'll get the good stuff. You'll get Lover. You'll get some
Yeah.
Cool Summer. You know, you'll see the production value a little
No,
bit.
I'm actually reasonably familiar with her work because my wife and daughter both like her. And look, she has some good songs. She is, I think, a talented person. She's a really, really good lyricist.
What's the cutoff? Like if you get there late, what's the cutoff?
Like the cutoff,
like to let you in.
Oh, I have no idea. I think they probably let you in at any point in time if you have a ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people that are buying tickets like in the parking lot and running in. I've seen like TikToks of people doing that and stuff. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, I left before USA Panama extra time and before
After
the
you'd
penalty
already
kicks.
been there for the whole game and it's going to PKs, my dude. I don't understand.
75 minutes, 80 minutes. That's good.
I get it.
That's a
not
good
on a
job.
soccer
But
game.
it's PKs. You're going to the most exciting part of the game, which is the overtime and PKs.
Exactly.
Yeah, 75, 80 minutes. Whatever happens after that happens.
Should have given me the ticket.
Should have came down with me. All right, ESPN LA and Hollywood Park Casino are giving 12 fantasy football commissioners the chance to win a fantasy football season experience, including the ultimate fantasy draft party for their ESPN fantasy football leagues and weekly prizes throughout the season. All you got to do is go register. Go to ESPNLA.com, scroll for the Hollywood Park Casino logo, and we'll see you on Friday, August 18th at HPC. Hollywood Park Casino, eat, drink, and draft. You've been keeping up at all? Maybe I just had a closer eye to it because went to San Diego State University. There was a lot of rumors and discussion that they could potentially be leaving the Mountain West and get to the Pac-12, something that they've been trying to do for years. But once SC and UCLA left the Pac-12, it potentially opened the door for a school like San Diego State to get in. And then we saw, I don't want to say Colorado is this like domino effect of, oh my gosh, Colorado's out. I think it was Oregon's head coach for football is basically like, yeah, what'd they win? Like, we're not too worried about Colorado leaving. There's 9 schools in the Pac-12, and there's no saying that the Pac-12 is going to be able to. The biggest issue that they've had is while they were waiting for the perfect deal, the Big 12 took the deal from Fox. They took the deal from ESPN. I think each school is getting around $31 million, something along those lines. And now the Pac-12 is boxed out. And there was a report that recently came out that they're looking to potentially do a deal with Apple, but the deal with Apple is based on subscriptions. You help me out with this one.
Can you give a little more detail on that when you say based on subscriptions? What do you mean by that?
So you will have to have, I think from what I understand, obviously you'll have to have, it will be on Apple TV. It's not that much different from the MLS with their deal with Apple as well. They will share in some of the revenue of subscriptions that come up specifically for the Pac-12. So maybe it's done somewhere in regards to you have to have a Pac-12 package on Apple, and then you're sharing in some of the revenue there. You tell me how many schools are lining up who don't have SC, don't have UCLA, don't have, think of the big brands, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson. They don't have any of those schools. Yes, Oregon and Washington are nice. Oregon and Washington are not if I say give me the top 15 schools in the country, you're getting pretty far down before you start picking schools that are currently in the Pac-12. I want to play something for you because Paul Feinbaum, who we all know, does a terrific, terrific job.
Paul.
Does a terrific job.
I worked on that show for years.
That's right. That's right. covering not just the SEC or that, really just college football in general. Take a listen to what he says about the Pac-12 moving forward.
Jump, run, do anything they can to get away, Alan, from the Pac-12. I mean, I was listening to Pete, and you're going to go to a college president when he has a good deal over here and say, hey, listen, Dr. President of Arizona State, Utah, be patient. If we can get enough people to sign up on Apple, then we are going to be great. Well, the bottom line is this, guys. Nobody's signing up on Apple to watch the Pac-12 because there's nothing to watch once you lose Colorado, UCLA, and USC. I mean, I don't want to be the guy that keeps burying this league because I think I did it the other day, but I'm going to keep doing it. Somebody needs to shovel dirt on this league and end this charade. It's over for the Pac-12, and if these three don't get out of there, they're going down with the ship.
I think Paul Feinbaum does not feel confident about the future of the Pac-12. I think he might not feel good about it. Is you said something, you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. You said, look, when SC and UCLA left, that was it.
It was over.
Is this just a matter of time before all these schools start jumping ship?
Absolutely. I mean, the ones who, specifically the ones who have clout, like the ones that you would care more about, the Oregons of the world. I mean, I think at this point they're the highest profile team, highest profile school left in the Pac-12.
And they'll probably go, if Oregon goes somewhere, Washington's probably going with them.
Yeah, I'd say it's either Oregon, maybe Washington. Mm-hmm. The truth is, the minute USC, UCLA left, Pac-12 is dead. Mm-hmm. Like, I've heard Ireland, who I know is, UCLA alum. He's a big Pac-12 guy. Mm-hmm. I went to SC. I'm a Pac-12 person. I've cared more about the Pac-10 / Pac-12.
You went to DeVry.
DeVry by way of USC. By the way, DeVry may end up in the Pac-12 pretty soon. They're going to be looking for anybody at this point.
Coleman College taking on DeVry.
But I've heard Ireland before, losing his mind, saying like, "What are they doing over there? Like, what? Why aren't they doing something?" The truth is,
wait, who is he upset at? Upset at the Pac-12 or UCLA leaving the Pac-12?
No, the Pac-12, and calling and saying like the worst run organization, bunch of bozos. Like, what are they doing? The truth is, he's not wrong about the Pac-12 being run badly.
Yeah,
but the truth is, there's nothing for them to do. It's over. It's done. The minute you lose USC and UCLA in the Pac-12, it's done. Like, you can pretend you're saving something, and you can get yourself worked up about it, and you can try to find the San Diego States of the world, try to bring in the Pac-12, and no shade against San Diego State.
I know what you're saying. It's different.
They ain't USC. They ain't UCLA. It's done. Like, it's over. There's all you are doing.
Can I just make this case? Can it be? You're right. The LA market is out. So,
but it's not just the LA market. It's
the brands.
It's the brands. It's the prestige.
It is. But can I make a case then? Okay, well, the Pac-12 then just is never going to be what it was, but it could still be one of the Power Fives. It's just one a little bit further down. The problem is,
how much further down can you go than 5? I mean,
well,
you know what I mean?
They would still be the Power 5, right? I mean, what's happening in college? Anyways, basically, all you're saying is the big boys are all in these 2 conferences,
right?
And everybody else after
but at that point, it's no longer a Power 5. It's a Power 2 with 3 other with 3 others around.
Yeah.
3 other conferences
Call
around.
It like a not as strong 3.
Right. Well, just because you feel like you need to have, for optics or respectability or whatever, more than 2 conferences, or you just want to maintain some charade that college football and college sports existed like they did when your grandparents watched it. It's over.
Do you like where this is? Do you like where college football is going, college basketball is going? Do you like that these conferences I was in the beginning when SC and UCLA left, there was a little bit like, damn, there was some cool history that you had in this conference. But I'm also thinking about, in a year and a half from now, Michigan is going to be coming to the Rose Bowl, and they'll probably be a top 5 school in the country. Ohio State's going to be coming to USC at the Coliseum, and it's going to be must-watch, just an incredibly interesting event for LA. I get where it's going, and I've bought into it.
Okay, here's where I would come out on it. I don't like losing some of the traditions because I think those traditions, they create rivalries. They can make a lot of college sports really
they matter,
fun.
And it's cool. Yep.
What I ultimately care about is, as a football fan, for example, like I'm a USC football fan. Am I still going to be able to see good games? The answer is yes. I think ultimately the games are going to be the games. If the games are still good, whether you're talking about from USC's perspective or just across college football, the game's still good, the game's still good. Either way, I can just appreciate that everybody is no longer pretending that this isn't all just about money.
Sure.
Because it's always been for so long, but college sports got romanticized about being something other than just the money, and that's how you were able to maintain the sham that was amateur sports.
Sure.
And these guys not being able to cash in on their likeness, on make any type of money for the service they provide that is $1 billion industry. I like that it's just stripped away, and everyone's just acknowledging what people didn't want to admit. It's all about the money.
And it reminds me a little bit of you, where you said to me, Al, it's not that I like doing the show with you. It's not that I like you. It's all about the money.
It's about the money.
And that's how you set the tone to start the show this morning.
It is absolutely about the money.
All right, how do we feel about what the Dodgers did and didn't do, and how much blame should go towards Andrew Friedman? We'll get into that next. Obviously, the trade deadline ended yesterday. The Braves all over the Angels right now, 12-5. So the Angels are going to fall a little bit further in the wild card as well. Travis and Sliwa Show, AK in the house, 710 ESPN.
3
Station.
It's Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa.
Day has the same person dropped off food at your house twice in one day. I don't know.
Great question.
Travis and Sliwa
On 710 ESPN.
Yo, check it out, Harry Mack, yo, over instrumentals I smash. I'm in the game for the passion, not just for the cash. We keep it moving, they like Mac, we feel ya. I go straight to the dome, just like a shot at tequila. Yeah, when I'm up on it, yo, I'm about to throw down. It's Harry Mack, you love the sound, never play for the clown. We
on
keep
YouTube,
it on,
I was
yo,
talking
I'm ready
about.
to bust.
And he's with Ellen right now, and she's holding up signs that have words on it, and
wow,
he's
this is the Ellen
rapping.
DeGeneres.
I had to make sure it was clean, bro. I had to make sure it was clean.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's crazy. What's most entertaining about it is the reaction of those that end up on the page with him or in the chat or whatever it is, and they have no idea what's going on or who he is. He just asks for the random words, and it's incredible. I grew up, and I don't know how you were with hip-hop. I used to love hip-hop. I don't listen to it as much anymore, is what it is, but I'm in a reggae world, you can call it, but I don't listen to hip-hop as much. But lyricists, like guys that actually, like that art form of, I can take this and make it into, he's telling, if somebody is watching, he's going over what are they wearing, what's the room look like, and rhyming everything. It's just incredible.
It's good. It's no James Harden, but it's good.
Oh, no, it's not Harden. And I don't ever want to make it like it's James Harden.
I mean, let's not blow this out of proportion. He's doing a nice job, but it's no Harden.
Cousin Slee said, I need to credit MC Supernatural, who created and dominated freestyle rapping. Okay, I just gave the credit. Relax there, okay? I just got caught up on a little
Cousin
YouTube.
Slee's a P1.
No, he's beyond a P1. Yeah, he's listening all the time.
We've met Cousin Slee. He was at the Mandy's 1.
Yeah,
right?
Mandy's 1.
Oh, I did not meet Cousin Slee.
He was a guy that got kicked out. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, he introduced himself as Cousin Slee.
Kay looked at me like, what happened?
Now, is he part of the Travis and Slee community, he or she?
Probably. I'm assuming he is. Yeah, Jorge is basically taking over the Travis and Sliwa community. We haven't done a good enough job promoting the Travis and Sliwa community. Yeah. This guy, for 2 years, Vote for Jorge, took over the station. So he has completely dominated that stage.
He did do a strong job with that.
Okay, so yesterday the trade deadline ends, and I guess I'll ask you this, and it's tough to put this into words when it comes to the Dodgers. How much blame do you think should go to Andrew Friedman of the trade deadline and the Dodgers not improving their arms? And listen, however you feel about this, the bottom line is I think what the Dodgers did at the trade deadline will not be enough, period. I just don't think they have enough talent. We just watch in the background here, the Braves are playing the Angels. Atlanta's up 12-5. Now, they are probably the class of all of Major League Baseball, so it's probably not the best example. All you got to do is get in and anything can happen. Do you look at the trade deadline and say Andrew Friedman should have done more?
It depends. It honestly depends on what he said no to, like where he was not willing to draw a line. Like if there were real opportunities out there that could have made the team better, not just this season, but maybe moving forward, fill some of the gaps that you might be thinking about beyond this season, but he was unwilling to do it either because he thought the price was too high to look like you won the trade. And I say that because Dylan Hernandez, who covers the Dodgers, really covers everybody for the LA Times, he had a really interesting point that he wrote in an article about the deadline and the inaction. And he said, quote, "The postseason field was expanded to 12 teams last year, transforming the trade market into more of a seller's market. This is not an environment in which the Dodgers like to operate. Friedman's image-sensitive nature demands that they win each and every trade. Friedman is yet to show the willingness to overpay for a player, even if that player would drastically improve the chances of winning a championship." Now, I don't know if
it's
really...
Good. It's a really good article from Dylan Hernandez.
Yeah, and look, I want to make it clear because I don't know... I don't follow baseball as closely as Dylan does.
Yep.
I don't know if there were really those type of players truly available for the Dodgers. But if he is correct that one of those type of players could be out there, but Friedman didn't want to do it, not because he didn't think the player would help the team enough, but because you don't look like you won the trade, that's a bad reason not to do it. Mm-hmm. Winning, like the whole winning the trade, honestly, like that's for people like us to debate about. And while it's a lot of fun and I appreciate how much people like to listen to us debate it, the truth is it doesn't matter what we think about it. Mm-hmm. What matters is what ends up happening on the field. And like
sometimes it takes years to figure out who the hell won the trade.
Well, look, you win the trade if your team did well. Like, look at like the Sacramento Kings with the Halliburton-Sabonis trade.
Great point. All the criticism in the beginning.
Right.
They got to the playoffs.
Right. All the criticism in the beginning was that the Kings gave up, the younger guy in Halliburton. And look, do I think, on balance, would I rather have Halliburton? Probably because he's younger and it's more of a guard-driven league.
But Domantas Sabonis fits better with the Kings.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's really, really good. You can't – both teams won. Maybe one team won a little more, but both teams won. You don't have to win the trade to win the trade.
I think what comes out for me, that Dylan Hernandez piece, I've always said this, and this is something that I've had a difficult time wrapping my head around. Trav, who loves Dodgers baseball more than anybody else and just loves baseball in general, always talks about, hey, the Dodgers are not going to make a bad deal. They're not. That's just not what they do. Andrew Friedman does not make bad deals. I get that, and I'm not promoting go make a bad deal. What I'm saying is you have all this stock in young players that nobody else has. You have the fact that you can spend the amount of money that you can, that you have the amount of talent that you have, that you can offer Mookie and Freddie Freeman. You could do all these things. You could bring up guys through your system like Julio and Will Smith and all that. The fact that you could do all that, and oh, by the way, you got the number one farm system in baseball, I think there are times, like this trade deadline, where it clearly stated you have to overpay a little bit. And if the perception that I have of the Dodgers is, yes, they dot their I's and they cross their T's. Don't you sometimes have to take a little bit of risk, especially because you have such a farm system, especially because you know you could develop players the way that you can? And I'm not telling you that there was a certain scenario here. You said it a little bit earlier. Who knows if Justin Verlander wanted to be a Dodger? Maybe he didn't. And he had the ability in his no-trade clause to say no. I mean, hell, the Dodgers did make a trade yesterday. They got Eduardo Rodriguez. Who said no? There was 10 teams.
Well, he wanted to be closer to his family in Florida from Detroit.
From Detroit.
Yes.
You
can't compete with that.
Hour and a half. Maybe
anytime
two.
you want to make a little jaunt down to Florida from Detroit, like you can't do that in L.A.
Listen, whatever the reasons were, personal, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, but that's the only knock I would have on the Dodgers is you're so buttoned up that at times where it's going to take you being a little bit loose, it's going to take you to say, listen, I don't know. It's not a guarantee if I make this move what's going to happen. I'm going to come out on top. I hope that's not something that's holding Andrew Friedman behind because he's got so much that he has to work with.
Well, look, I mean, T-Love just hit me up on Twitter at Cam Brothers, and he raised a good point. Andrew Friedman plays the long game, and it's worked for a decade. He wasn't going to mortgage the future for the talent they have this year. Andrew Friedman may have looked at this team and said, we are multiple players away from being what I consider a legit World Series.
Can I tell you why I disagree with that? I disagree because they were in the running for Verlander. That there were two teams that
sure.
There was. I think I saw it from Ken Rosenthal. Whenever it was, there was a time over the last, let's say, 48 hours where it seemed like, hey, Verlander could potentially be a Dodger. That there was actually conversation to. Maybe they're one starting pitcher away, one ace away from competing.
But Verlander though isn't a rental. He'd be around for a couple of years. So
Yep.
they may have thought Verlander is worth doing this for because
insurance if they don't get Ohtani.
Right.
If they lose Julio,
right,
both
exactly.
could happen.
Like Verlander is somebody that you could theoretically plan around for the next few years. So he may have thought like, okay, it's worth doing it for him. But that's not just trying to do it for this season. He may feel like we've capped out, like we've overachieved this year. There's only so long you can overachieve, particularly in the playoffs. I don't know for sure that's what he's thinking, but that would be a reasonable, I guess, reason for not doing that, for not going all in. If you feel like this is not an all-in team. And I can understand why you think it's not an all-in team because nobody expected this team to be a serious contender. And they would have a good idea of, okay, like, how much of this is us? Like, this is really who we are.
Yeah.
How much of it is we've just been overachieving in an NL that is really wide open?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think there is definitely. I think you can make an argument that you can say, hey, they've overachieved. They've also had a lot of bad luck this year, and they're still in this position.
Sure.
You can also make an argument that Kershaw's going to eventually come back. Julio is eventually going to be Julio.
Maybe Bueller.
And Bueller, yeah, I know that. Again, that kind of falls into the bad luck. Dustin May falls into the bad luck. They've had bad luck happen this year, and you go look at the standings. It's the Braves and then the Dodgers.
Well, look, that gets into the possibility of what you were talking about.
And the
which
Dodgers
is
can win 111 games and get eliminated right away. That in the postseason, you just do everything you can to have the team that you have.
I mean, look, that gets back to the idea of what you were talking about, which I think is certainly possible, where they were just being either too cautious, too practical to just say go for it. Because the Dodgers will go for it in the sense that they will make big deals, but they're not a team that says what the F. They don't do that, and there's a real difference.
I want to play some sound when we come back. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Eduardo Rodriguez, who plays for the Detroit Tigers, was traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Traded to the Dodgers, and he decides that of the 10 teams that he can stop it in his no trade clause. Andrew Friedman explained what happened and why it fell through. We'll do that when we come back. Plus, Cooper Kupp yesterday had a hamstring injury, and I think you already got a lot of questions about the Rams. Imagine them not having the three most important players on their team, or one of those players, completely healthy. So we'll do all that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN. All right, for the one offers high-quality supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as access to product specialists who have knowledge and experience to answer your toughest questions. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by.
So we got Scott Kaplan. He's in this afternoon show, Sedano and Cap. Scott Kaplan.
The confidence is up there. That goes without saying. I've always thought that, where you wear Nikes with a suit, it can be kind of a tacky look. But if you don't wear an undershirt and you wear those glasses, then maybe it pulls it together. So I'm going to give that one, just for the fact that he knows what he's doing, I'm going to give him a 6.
Would you wear that yourself?
No. Never, ever, ever be seen in that.
Honestly, suit's not bad. The no undershirt raises it up a little bit to where I'd probably say 8.5.
Would you wear that fit?
100%.
Shoes on point. I give that a 7 too.
Would you do the same thing? Show the little taco meat?
Definitely show the chest. Gotta show the chest.
I ain't gonna lie, it's different. You got the Dior shoes on it. The nice hat. I like the glasses. No shirt with the chain. He get a 10. I give my man an 8. I give him an 8 out of 10. He nice little drip.
Do you think you can pull that off with no shirt?
Nah, I don't think I can pull it out like he pull it out. Nah,
Do you think it's the right strategy? No. Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
All right, of course, it is the Waba Grill lunch hour here on 710 ESPN. Andy, if you can please grab the sign there. Thanks to our friends over at Waba Grill. You've got to try Waba Grill's new Asian-inspired Boom Boom Taco Trios with your choice of chicken, ribeye steak, or shrimp. Had them before. They're amazing. Visit your local Waba Grill location or order online for pickup or delivery at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill. Eat smart, be healthy. If you hear some noise in the background, it's because Andy at 12:15 has to hold the sign up. There's a Waba Grill Boom Boom Taco sign, and we're contractually obligated for him to spin the taco from 12:15 to 12:40. So he's in the middle of doing that. If you're watching on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about. If you're listening in your car, just open up YouTube. You could see it. It's a lot clearer.
Yeah,
thank
while
you.
you're driving.
Thank you, Andy, for doing that. Now just pull over to the side and just watch Andy do that. Andy, you could get a quick little rest, but you do have to lift it again at 12:22.
I'm pacing myself.
Yeah, 12:22. You got to do it again.
Count.
I was going to do
breathe, dog.
I was going to do some band
He was
work.
breathing hard. There was a little bit of.
I was going to do some band workouts this morning, but then I remembered I got the sign.
Well, we said it yesterday that you have to have like the handle in the background, and that's when they're spinning it. But then Jorge, you said that. Do they not have a handle back there? I'm
That's tape,
assuming.
man. You put tape, anything.
Yeah?
That's, yeah.
Okay.
You can put a handle. I mean,
all right. I didn't know.
It's up to you. Like you modify. It's your sign.
It's your business. Do whatever you want to do.
I just can't wait to hear that I put the sign back in correctly.
You're going to get a text any moment.
I probably
now.
will.
Read the hum.
Okay, but
can you see it? Like, can it be
we
seen
can,
where
it's
it is?
on YouTube,
Okay,
yeah.
I was
good.
going to say, but if I before you touched it, it was leaning up a little bit.
I know.
So right now it's a little bit leaning back, but I think we got the point across. Eduardo, I mentioned this coming in here. Eduardo Rodriguez of the Detroit Tigers had an opportunity he had a no-trade clause. And he's in it's not the final year of his contract, but he has a player option. So there's a good chance that wherever he ended up, he was going to opt out and go get paid in the summer. He has certainly played, and maybe the criticism that I was given towards Andrew Friedman, it could just be as simple as, no, we thought we got another starting pitcher. We thought we had somebody that was going to be able to help. Now, they did sort of address Lance Lynn was one of the pitchers that they got. But take a listen here, because this is not too often that something like this happens associated with the Dodgers. And I don't know if we're reading too much into it, but take a listen here to Andrew Friedman and why the deal didn't go down.
We didn't expect it at all. You wouldn't have known one way or the other. We thought with having a lot of his ex-teammates and guys that he's played with that and our place in the standings, that we thought we would be very desirable, but obviously for family reasons, we never got a chance to talk to Eduardo. But we talked to his agent numerous times, and we respect that he had this right and he exercised it. Obviously, we would have loved for him to join what we have going here, but it's hard for us to argue with family reasons.
Dave Roberts added to it, saying to have a chance to come to a team with guys that he's familiar with on a team that's playing for a championship, it's surprising. He's talking about Eduardo Rodriguez not coming to the Dodgers. Do we read too much into this? Is there anything to and you've kind of made the point a couple times about Verlander. We'll see if there's more details that come out. Or is this just one player that look, to me it's shocking. I don't know what the family circumstance is, so I don't want to make any assumptions, but you got a chance to go play for the Los Angeles Dodgers. You have a chance to play on a team that as high profile as it is, a chance to compete for a World Series, and then, oh, by the way, when you're done, go get whatever money that you want that's in the market for you.
I mean, it's surprising in the sense that we're not accustomed to hearing about players in any sport use a no-trade clause to block going to L.A. Like, typically, a no-trade, I think, is thought of where you can leverage it to force your way somewhere like L.A., as opposed to preventing going to L.A.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't know a thing about Eduardo Rodriguez. Like, I know I'm barely familiar with his career, much less who he is as a person.
Sure.
So I can't speculate into or responsibly speculate into, like, what what he'd find unappealing about the Dodgers.
Irresponsibly
irresponsibly, I can totally do that.
I would love to be irresponsible.
I can absolutely do that. I mean, look, the idea of wanting to be closer to your family sounds ridiculous. His family's in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You are, for all intents and purposes, no closer to Florida and Michigan than you are in California. Like, it's an hour and a half longer as a flight, but, like, come on. I don't know if there's...
you add up an hour and a half, and next thing
there
you
could be a
know,
layover. I don't know. I mean...
LAX, I mean, you really want to, just kind of a headache sometimes?
Yeah, LAX. I mean, but he could just as easily fly into Burbank or Long Beach like that.
Right.
Burbank, by the way, if you can manage to fly it, really easy.
By the way, I fly using LAX all the time. I do. I really do.
And it's been a long time since I've been in Detroit's airport. Like, I don't know how much more pleasant it is just in and out of Detroit.
Yeah. Better food options, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, now, I want to... This is something interesting, though. Like,
okay.
I've thought about this before, and I want to make it clear what I'm about to bring up. I have no idea if this is about Eduardo Rodriguez or Justin Verlander or anybody.
Okay.
L.A. is culturally a very different city than a lot of baseball culture. Like, baseball tends to be a very, very conservative, homogenous culture.
I mean, look how long it took. We always criticize the game of not just being more changing the rules and trying to just kind of appeal to a different audience.
It is conservative in a lot of different ways. What do you want to talk about as a sport when it comes to change within itself?
Okay.
I think culturally it is conservative. I think to some degree politically it's conservative.
Mm-hmm.
I have wondered before if LA, because of that, is a less appealing city to some players than it would be in other sports. I have no idea if I'm actually onto something or not, but it's something that I've wondered before. As far as Rodriguez specifically with the Dodgers or Verlander specifically with the Dodgers, if it turns out he would have invoked the no-trade clause if it got that far, I have no idea. I just know that it's unusual, and when you bring that up at a time where it was a seller's market to begin with, there weren't, let's be honest, there was not much, it seemed like, for Andrew Friedman to really do.
To work with?
I mean, how many big names moved? It was Verlander and it was Scherzer.
Mm-hmm.
And they were both on a team that nobody expected to be
And the only
sellers.
other big name, Rich Hill.
And the Padres got him, baby. You know what I mean? Like, there was not much of a deadline to begin with, as far as, like, earth-shattering moves. Like Giolito, who the Angels got. The Dodgers been connected to him.
Sure.
He was considered like one of the high-end pitchers out there. Like, Giolito's, today notwithstanding, Giolito's fine, but he's not
all these guys become overvalued when there's nothing out
it's
there.
Not like people look at Giolito and go like, oh, that's a guy that can turn around your pitching
It's
staff.
like looking at the housing market. If there's no inventory, the house that is available, all of a sudden it's like, hey, I can make this work. Wow, look, it has this feature. It's like, but if there were other homes available, you wouldn't even be looking at this.
Same thing with the Lakers when they got D'Angelo Russell and all the guys that they got at the trade deadline. It wasn't the same. It was the same kind of maybe underwhelmed feeling at the time too. And who knows what they actually look like when they're on the field, when they're on the court.
Yeah, I mean, the deadline with the NBA started happening a little bit before that. Because remember, like, Durant got moved to Phoenix a couple days before.
Rui was like 2 weeks before.
But like, without knowing all of whatever prevented Andrew Friedman from making certain moves or whatever, it was not a particularly splashy deadline to begin with. It's not like there was a lot of action happening, and it felt like Friedman was on the outside looking in.
Well, and the Dodgers were involved with a lot of different players.
Yeah.
So it's not like, again, it's not a team that was just sitting back doing nothing.
Right.
It's just you're looking at the results when the dust settled and said, wait a minute, what do you mean the Dodgers didn't end up with better pitchers to help a pitching staff right now that's obviously struggled?
And if it's a seller's market, you're going to try to not give it to the Dodgers because the Dodgers are a great team. They do things well. You'll probably lose that trade. And so it's a lot of these options where, like, if you're the Mets and you have every option available to you, you're probably not going to want to do the deal with the Dodgers if it's a comparable trade that the Astros could give you.
Sure. Okay, we got to go to break here for two reasons. Number one, DeAndre was trying to tell me about something that D'Angelo Russell said on the Pat Bev podcast. When we come back, I want to take a listen to that. The other reason why we got to go to break is because all three of you guys got Pizza Hut during the break, and I didn't. So I'm going to go get some Pizza Hut. If the
really
Pizza
yummy.
Hut's gone,
Delicious.
then I want you to save me the crust because I'd like a couple bites before we get out of here. All right, we'll do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
So Al and I are teaming up for your chance to win an entire office full of lunch from Waba Grill. So you're going to want to be listening all day during the 12 o'clock lunch hour for your cue to call to pick up food for the entire office, courtesy of Waba Grill.
We got some ribeye, we got some chicken, we got some shrimp.
I'm making it sound like I cook them myself. Look at these boom boom tacos.
You can visit wabagrill.com. You can order online. Just go on in, get yourself some of these tacos. Visit your local Waba Grill location. Of course, walk right in. Of course, you can order online for delivery or pickup. Waba Grill, right? Eat smart, be healthy. Boom boom, kaboom.
I don't
Great
know.
question. Travis and Sliwa
on 710 ESPN.
Jorge is basically a DJ back there. He really is.
Good DJ.
It's like the perfect DJ.
Oh, you guys like the beat? Oh, cool. Thanks.
Not enough Taylor Swift, though.
I'm sorry.
Add that to the
Sorry,
list
Miss
there.
Hebel.
Yeah.
Hey,
Shots. It's all good.
Forget Outcast. She wants.
I need every
she wants Taylor
segment.
Swift.
Roars.
All right, shout out to Pizza Hut here. About to get in on this. The fact that even Emily, you jumped in on, so I'm throwing it up here on YouTube. The fact that you jumped in, and I could even hear the point you were making about the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And I could also tell that you had just taken a bite too. And I'm
Of
like,
course.
okay, so you're going to make your point while eating Pizza Hut as
Yep,
well?
Of course.
You
Well,
wanna wait.
it's that good. I can't wait.
Fair.
And I got the big New Yorker, the pepperoni slice. I got little,
Yep.
those curled pepperonis that are always great on pizza. But, yeah, their big New Yorker slice is nice because it's, so big. It's bigger than an average slice, so it's awesome.
I did a little bit of everything. I got mushrooms on here, some green peppers, some onions, some pepperoni.
What's the dessert? A brownie? Is it a brownie?
I actually haven't looked. I haven't looked.
Whatever, Emily,
Yeah.
you can't finish, you bring it home later on, floor pizza.
Floor
Ayo.
boom.
Done.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
All right, ESPN LA and Hollywood Park Casino are giving 12 fantasy football commissioners a chance to win a fantasy football season experience, including the ultimate fantasy draft party, for their ESPN Fantasy Football Leagues and weekly prizes throughout the season. Register now at ESPNLA.com. Scroll for the Hollywood Park Casino logo, and we'll see you on Friday, August 18th at HPC. Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, and draft. Okay, I haven't got a chance to listen to this, but we were talking about it. I was teasing it here before the break. So D'Angelo Russell was on the Pat Bev's podcast. Let's take a listen. I think kind of trying to justify, it sounds like, a little bit of his performance this year. Take a listen to D'Angelo Russell.
And you don't really see him in the summertime, all that. But in the season, like, this might have been the best year D'Lo ever had, like, shooting-wise.
And they ain't talking about it, bro.
And no one's talking about it. Like,
I gotta do, Pat. Y'all want me to play point guard? I play point. Y'all want me to play shoot guard? What y'all want from me, man? Like, I do 30 for 3, 40 for 3. What y'all want?
Listen,
it might be the last 2 minutes too.
He can do that.
The man was shooting
I'm just gonna stay humble.
48% from the 3-point line at one point, like halfway through the season. Wow. Like,
I'm just gonna stay humble.
Head down, keep grinding. Just get more text. Just get more text then. Get more text. You get it that way.
Yeah, I feel like you're never getting text, bro.
Yeah, just get more text. You get more text, yeah, you go, man, what's up with D-Lo? Yeah, that's what's up. I'm on that.
All right, that's D'Angelo Russell with Pat Bev.
The beginning part of that did not even sound like D'Angelo Russell. I was like, who is that talking?
It's James Harden.
Harden was singing.
Seriously, I was like, who's this person talking? When are they going to let D'Angelo talk?
Well, okay, first, I got a couple thoughts on this. You could tell, listen, this is sounds like two guys that have a relationship together.
Yeah, they played together, I believe, in Minnesota.
But the shooting the you-know-what, and it's a podcast, so you're able to definitely be as honest as possible.
The Pat Bev podcast is where Minnesota Timberwolves go to declare themselves legends. Like, remember Karl Anthony Towns is on the Pat Bev podcast talking about how he's going to be remembered as a big man who changed the game. Like, if you want to be seen as, if nothing else, a great current or former Timberwolf, you join former Timberwolf Pat Bev on his podcast.
Can I give you a perfect example?
YouTube component?
There is a YouTube component.
Monday through Friday. I'm going to give you a perfect example of the two organizations that you're talking about. If D'Angelo Russell was doing what he was doing in Minnesota and shooting the 40+% from three. Listen, D'Angelo, regular season, he plays 17 games for the Lakers in the regular season. Remember, one of the first games that he's playing with the Lakers, he gets injured against the Warriors, turns his ankle, so he's out for 6-7 games, whatever it was. D'Lo on the Lakers in the regular season, I'll take those stats. D'Lo in the regular season doing that for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves will take those stats. Things change when you get to the playoffs. And I got to imagine D'Angelo Russell understands that for the Los Angeles Lakers, especially when you're making a deep run, it's not apples to apples. That ultimately, once you get to the playoffs, whatever you did in the regular season is going to be forgot about. I'll give you a good example on this. Rui in the regular season for the Lakers, the 30 games he played or whatever that number was, he was okay. I actually didn't think there was anything crazy that Rui was doing.
I think it was a little bit misleading, but he was certainly more impactful in the playoffs.
Much more impactful in the playoffs. And what happened because of what he did in the playoffs, he ended up getting a great, sizable contract for him, 3 years, $51 million, whatever it was. I think D'Lo's got to understand when he says, what more do you want me to do? I'll tell you what every Laker fan, and I guarantee you that front office wanted D'Angelo Russell to do. Be good enough on the court in the playoffs that they don't have to take you out of the game. This wasn't a situation with D'Angelo Russell where it was, hey, Dennis Schroeder's playing so well that D'Lo can't find the floor. No, it was a combination of D'Lo. You're not a threat. You're not hitting your threes. You're a liability on defense. Bruce Brown's going out of his way afterwards to say, yeah, we're just targeting D'Angelo Russell. And his percentage was so bad against the Denver Nuggets that you literally couldn't put him on the floor. He had moments against Memphis. He had moments against the Warriors, but there was nothing consistent from D'Lo in the playoffs, and against the Denver Nuggets, he was really bad. So when he asks, what more do you want me to do? When the moment is big and the lights are as bright as can be, You got to deliver, and he didn't. So that's what I would tell him what he needs to do.
Well, I think two things can be true at once. I think D'Lo's first 2 rounds in the playoffs are underappreciated. I think he was better than a lot of people perceive it.
He had moments.
No, I thought he played well on balance in both of those rounds. I mean, he played like the guy that you would expect to be like the 4th best player on your team. I think he played at the level like a 4th best player. He was terrible against Denver. And I think because he was so bad against Denver, and because D'Lo's always been a really polarizing player anyway, like his entire career, I think it's overshadowed what he did in the first 2 rounds. But it doesn't change the fact that he was a problem against Denver.
Can you sell me?
It's a problem.
Can you sell me on the first 2 rounds? I feel like, am I taking the? Am I misinterpreting it as you're overselling him? I thought he was doing what he was brought in to do, and somebody that's making $30 million.
Who cares? I mean, who cares? The Lakers didn't give him $30 million. Somebody else gave him $30 million.
Still making 30.
Well, it doesn't matter though. Like he was. To me, once it's somebody else's contract, unless you're bringing in that guy as like a long-term piece, long-term contract, which the Lakers knew, everybody knew, whether D'Lo was re-signed, ends up somewhere else, whatever, he was not going to be making $30 million on his next contract a year, period, no matter where he went.
He was probably, I think most people thought he'd be around that, maybe that 25 range, 22 range, something like that.
Something like that, but even that, I thought that was probably too high. I thought he was going to be about where he landed right now. But like he was, whether he was making 30-ish million or not, he was slated to be like the 4th best player on this team. I thought the first 2 rounds he played like the 4th best player on the Lakers. I
don't think he was more impactful than Rui in the first 2 rounds. And Reeves was his own player.
It depends on the round.
Whatever he did.
Rui was not that impactful against Golden State because the matchup was not good for him. I think D'Lo was more impactful against Golden State than Rui was. In the first round, Rui was more impactful against Memphis, but D'Lo also had a 31-point closeout game for that series against Memphis. I think the first 2 rounds, he was fine. It was that he was so awful against Denver. Like he was unplayable against Denver. And that's a real problem, and I'm not trying to spin it in any other direction. He was that bad. But I think he can still have been good in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, and I think listening to that quote, I think what he's saying, what more do they want me to do? I guess.
I mean, I'd love to hear the whole conversation.
Sure. And maybe there's some stuff. Maybe there's some stuff that's missed out.
Smash that Pat Bev button on YouTube. Smash it.
But I think anybody that looked at D'Angelo Russell when the season ended, I think you had a perception on him, maybe unfair. But I think the Denver series is a good example of just don't be the 3rd best player. Don't be the 4th. Just don't put yourself in a position where Darvin Ham can't play you because in the most important series, obviously for the Lakers, they get swept. And I'm not telling you, listen, if D'Lo is a different player, maybe they're losing in 6 games. I don't know what it was. Denver beat the Los Angeles Lakers in 4 games, so let's not pretend that they didn't do that. But I think the what more do you want me to do falls more to, D'Lo, you didn't do anything against Denver.
Here's the thing with D'Lo, too, and this is where he gets himself in trouble, and it's something he needs to be more self-aware of. He is somebody that I think likes to exude confidence, probably in part because he recognizes like there's certain things that other guys in the league can do athletically I will never be able to do.
Sure.
So I have to maintain my level of confidence. But like you were there at the exit interview, when D'Lo described his game as nice afterwards, talking about like, I know who I am as a player, like I know the things I do well, kind of talking about this like, you know, I got it all sewed up. Not the right time.
Yeah.
The time for a lot of this is what actually I think makes it bad. Whether you think D'Lo is making some good points or not, now is not the time to be taken up for yourself.
Well, what y'all want from me, man?
That doesn't even sound like him.
That sounds like him.
It sounds like a Muppet.
It sounds like I could almost see him doing it too on the pod.
But like the voice though,
like this, you know,
the voice sounds like a Muppet. Like who is that?
James Harden. She already said. It was James Harden. All right, we got the dump coming up next. By the way, Cooper Kupp hamstring injury. We'll get a little bit into that. Big Ten presidents discuss adding more teams from the Pac-12 and a bunch of other stuff. Stay right here. This is the Travis and Sliwa Show on 710 ESPN. All right, Sierra Subaru Monrovia. They got a really, really cool event coming up. It's actually coming up on Friday, so August 3rd. Join us for a special back-to-school event at Sierra Subaru Monrovia. They're teaming up with cosmetology students from Citrus College to offer free haircuts for local elementary and middle school students. Sierra Subaru Monrovia is part of the Subaru Love Promise. They're always doing things on a monthly basis. They got a few different programs of helping out with the community, and this is just the latest one. Plus, each student will receive a free backpack filled with school supplies when they bring their school ID to kick off the new school year. Registration is now open. Again, the event is this Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Sierra Subaru Monrovia. Aside from all the community stuff that they do, they also have an unbelievable line of Subaru vehicles over at Sierra Subaru. I just got the 2023 Solterra, all-wheel drive, all-electric SUV. I drove it around for the weekend. Driven around the Ascent, the Outback, just a beautiful, beautiful line of cars. Again, Sierra Subaru of Monrovia.
America.
710 ESPN.
At ESPN.
This summer, the Commerce Casino. Everything we haven't gotten to today. Yes, it's time for the dump.
So this song is Wildest Dreams by Taylor Swift.
It's disrespectful that you tell us. We know.
Of course. But fun fact, she samples her own heartbeat in this film, so in this song. So the beginning of this song, you hear like this, and right now underneath it, it's her own heartbeat, Taylor Swift's heartbeat that she samples.
Interesting. You would think your initial thought would be that's like a bass drum.
12.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's
12.
Taylor Swift's Heartbeat that we're listening to. So there's
I got
13, and I have my 13.
Which means by definition, it's also
13.
Emily's heartbeat.
Well, I'm gonna
Their
make
heart's
it-
beat is 1.
I'm going to make it 14. Taylor Swift was generous with truck drivers responsible for hauling her equipment over the country for the Eras tour, gifting each driver with a $100,000 check, according to TMZ.
That's really cool.
Is there anything worse than, I mean, she obviously didn't have to deal with this. Anytime you move, what's worse? What's worse than moving your stuff? What's worse? Going and grabbing a U-Haul and having no idea what the hell you're doing.
And asking
Driving
Travis and
like
Sliwa
an
to help
idiot.
you.
Yours was easy. Yours wasn't hard. Like, we had just a couple items.
Yeah.
And Trav, obviously, the guy's been in bodybuilding competitions
Yes.
and everything
He's a
else.
professional athlete.
So for him,
That's where he is right now.
He
He's
does
competing.
he does all back. When they say squat, like, so you just don't hurt your back. He goes all back, right, the whole time. Pretty damn nice gift there from Taylor Swift.
We moved last year, and the movers
Should've called us.
The movers that it was the day of the softball game.
Ah.
So unfortunately, no one would have been available. That's
Yeah,
why.
okay, I could
That's
just
why I
like it.
wasn't at the first softball game. I was moving. The movers that came by, they were these Ukrainian guys. One of them, I'm not joking, he was literally built like an upside down trapezoid. It was incredible. Like he was picking up these shelves and basically
Oh my God.
slinging them over his shoulder. I remember there's a few times I'm like, do you need me to help you lift that? He's like, no, it's good.
Probably
it's good.
took it as like disrespect.
I think he did. Like they take out, I mean, it's totally unenvironmentally friendly, but they take out this protective tape that they wrap around your stuff.
Yep.
And this guy was like wrapping entire dressers in like a minute and a half. It was unbelievable.
So then they could just bang into anything and nothing matters.
Yeah, I mean, like we were like, oh God, we got a lot of stuff to move. They're like, this is nothing. You're fine.
Winning Time producers hope to have the show go through. They're trying to get one for the Kobe and Shaq era Lakers.
It makes sense. Most of this stuff is based off the writing of Jeff Pearlman.
Yep.
Jeff Pearlman has a really good
right.
Kobe Shaq book, so I'm not surprised.
All right, I'm curious. So season 2 is coming out, I think, pretty soon
On
here,
Sunday.
right? On Sunday. Okay, so season 2 is coming out on Sunday. Is there another era of basketball or another storyline? So try to think of any storyline that you want in the NBA. They're already doing the 80s Showtime era, so that one's obviously gone. You can pick, hey, I want a Winning Time type of program on HBO for the Jordan-led Bulls. Hey, I want that for
The Golden State Warriors.
Bron and the Heat, Golden State Warriors. Is there anything more that could be potentially more interesting or better storyline than Kobe and Shaq? Because I don't think there is.
Yes and no. No, in the sense that there's already so much inherent drama with that. Like the storylines are very, very out there, and they're real and they're juicy. But they're also stuff that have been really well documented and told at this time. Like, it would be interesting to see it recreated.
But dramatized.
Right.
And the way they did Winning Time with, the Showtime era,
Sure.
there is definitely, even if you thought you knew a lot about the Showtime era, they don't have to play the whole Showtime era.
Right, but I'll be honest, and I like Winning Time. I don't feel like I learned anything from it. If anything, there's a lot of inaccuracies to it. Like, you don't go into watching Winning Time to learn anything.
But I think that's part of what you accept with Winning Time, right? That you know that you're not watching something saying, oh, okay. I mean, even actually it was kind of funny when Winning Time was going on, John would point out Lakers actually won that game. There's things that obviously don't line up.
They went so far out of their way to create like this dramatic tension of, that first season that Jerry Buss had the Lakers, can they win some games? Can they make it? They were dominating that whole season. Like John said, there were games where they presented that they lost, that they actually won. Like they faked, to be honest, a lot of drama. Not saying it couldn't be entertaining, but a lot of it's faked.
As long as we know that, right? Like, that's okay. I didn't have an issue with Winning Time because I didn't watch Winning Time saying to myself, this is an accurate portrayal of how that era
I don't think
was.
they were always as upfront about that as they could have been. But to me, back to your original question, though, and again, I enjoyed Winning Time. I'm looking forward to season 2. The Kobe Shaq, if it ever goes that far, that's tailor-made for this. What I would love, though, for the Winning Time treatment is something dramatic that it doesn't feel like we've already heard as much of the inside of it. Like something where it feels like you're getting something where you didn't know as much. Like, the KD, Kyrie, Harden, Ben Simmons Nets.
Okay.
That would be crazy for a winning time because we know that's already a nuts story.
But that's crazy, but I think you could do that in a more actual documentary format because we don't know enough about it. I think you can I think the exaggerating portion of this is what has kind of lured me into what winning time is. Yeah. I don't need it to be as long, but you're right about maybe they weren't as upfront in the beginning.
I don't think they were at all.
We're exaggerating here. As long as I know it's exaggerated.
Also, good luck to whomever is going to play Kobe, especially in this town. You have a lot to live up to in terms of like the personality, inhabiting what that is, and so many people will hear and across the world that know who that person is.
Sure.
Obviously, that's the same level on Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, of course, but for Kobe, it'll be very different.
That's a different level.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you on that.
That is some pressure casting.
How cool is this? Emily was telling me about this morning. Jamaica for the World Cup, the women's World Cup team for Jamaica. They had to launch a GoFundMe to help pay for their trip to the Women's World Cup. They just knocked out Brazil, and they're headed to the round of 16 for the first time in the nation's history.
Remember,
how cool is this?
I mentioned this, I want to say either earlier this week or on Friday with
I think
the
it was
markup.
Friday last week, yeah.
Bob Marley's daughter. Bob Marley, for people who don't know this, was a massive soccer fan.
That's right, yeah.
He loved to watch it. He loved to play it. Like, if you ever look for Bob Marley shirts, like half of them are him playing soccer.
There's some documentaries of Bob Marley, and some of those documentaries are real footage of him playing soccer.
He was a massive soccer fan.
Biopic coming out this year.
Yep.
That's right.
Bob Marley.
Yep.
Yeah.
His daughter, I believe her name is Sedella, she actually has been instrumental over the last several years of helping get funding for Jamaica's national women's team. Like, she's actually, in a lot of ways, kept them alive.
And clearly it's paying off.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool story.
It's
that really
cool.
is. And the fact that they beat Brazil, of all countries, just from the history of Brazil, the interest of soccer in Brazil. Emily, can you help explain?
Well, they had a draw against Brazil, but they got ahead of Brazil. So they beat Brazil into the knockout round, but they had a draw against them.
Can you explain this zoo in China?
All right, so has anybody seen this? Okay, so this is a video that I will attempt to describe. So it's a bear that has very thin fur and looks like almost like wrinkly skin, but it'll stand up and stand like a human. So it, like, looks up, turns its head, and then it comes down and looks like a bear again. And so China had to come out and deny that this is a human in a bear costume. But if you see the video, it looks very much like that is a human in a bear costume. I've never seen a bear look like that in my entire
did you see the video or no?
I have not had a chance to see
I'm with you. It's almost scary how it looks like
once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's a human in a bear costume.
Looks like somebody's basically in a costume.
Let me see if I can find this quickly.
And I want them to do something like this in like the San Diego Zoo or something and have just like a human in a orangutan costume or something in one of the exhibits.
I have like a 70-ish pound pit bull mix at home. And
oh, yes, you've told this story before, but keep telling it.
One day, I somehow, I don't know how I landed on this, but I got in my head the idea, because it's a big dog, that the dog was a human inside a dog suit. And I've never been able to fully lose myself of this thought.
So this is your dog?
It's my dog. My dog, Bobo, who looks like James Garner.
Wait a minute. Is that why Bobo is the commander-in-chimp? Is that where you got the name?
No. Bobo.
That's a chimp.
No, Bobo. No, Bobo. This is a coincidence. When we adopted this dog from the foster people, his name had already been Bobo.
But had you already written commander-in-chimp?
Oh, this was going back
I feel like
decades.
your stories. I don't know if I could trust your story now.
So, do you just name all animals Bobo?
I did not.
Wait a minute,
name.
is the
What
chimp
the hell is
Bobo
going
and
on?
your dog's Bobo?
Yes.
Do you have no imagination?
He claims this is a coincidence.
It is a coincidence.
It's a lack of imagination.
Well, again,
If you get a cat today, you're going to name it Bobo?
Bobo the
I will
cat,
not.
Bobo the dog, Bobo the chimp. Bobo,
like you're like
my new son Bobo.
You're George Foreman. He named all his kids George.
Look, Bobo.
The hell is going on over there,
Bobo the
AK?
chimp was because the president at the time, his name was Bob Johnson, so the typo that the scheming vice president came up with to make himself eventually
You're
president.
backpedaling.
Because the typo, no, this is the truth. He made a typo with
He
Bobo
names,
Johnson.
He names all pets and animals Bobo.
I wouldn't do that. It's so undignified. I wouldn't do
the
that.
third Kamenetsky, Bobo. Andy, Brian, and Bobo.
But I've had in my head that Bobo is actually a man in a dog costume.
Yeah, that's
I
impressive.
can't get rid of it.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I hate to leave the Bobo chat. Let's do some Super Crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins. Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
Take it away, Bobo! So what was the Barbie review at 1:30?
I liked it. Have you seen it?
Not seen it.
Andy,
I'm gonna see
you saw it,
Oppenheimer
right?
tonight.
Yeah.
I did not like it as much as Andy and Mason liked it. I said if I was doing like a Rotten Tomato scale, I'd give it an 80.
That's really good.
It's
by
pretty
the way.
good.
Yeah. Mace said he'd give it a 90.
Yeah.
And the only reason I would give it an 80 is because I'm a big Kate McKinnon fan. I like Margot Robbie. I like Will Ferrell. I like Ryan Gosling. So I threw in 5 points for the likability of the actors. The movie itself is probably a C. But
a C?
75.
Harsh critic.
Great.
I'd say 75 is the movie.
You
but
just went from 80
bonus,
to 70. Oh, I see.
5 bonus points for the likability of
cast.
the actors.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Good.
what I would say. And Slee, if your girl wants to go see it, you can score some big points.
Yeah.
It's very empowering to women.
And if you want to go see it, it's very empowering
to me, too.
To you, Slee.
No,
It's okay to
no,
see
it's
it.
not.
It's okay to see it alone if you want.
It's okay to be a guy and see
I
it.
did go alone. Bergman was afraid to. He's
Yeah.
afraid that he would get labeled or something. We couldn't figure it out.
Labeled.
But
Were the seats assigned?
yeah, but I mean, I went at a time when there weren't a lot of people. But I went a week into it. I think the people that really wanted to see it all saw it in the first week. Although its numbers are kind of holding up, right?
It did like 95 million.
It had
this
a
weekend.
great
It had
second
an
weekend.
Unbelievable hold.
Andy, I'm
so
assuming.
did Oppenheimer, by the way. Had
We'll
a
see it tonight.
tremendous hold.
I'll
Are
see it
you?
tonight, yeah.
It's really good.
I'm assuming you went to, and I don't know the circumstances of when or how you went, but I'm assuming you went with either your wife or your daughter.
Went with both. Went opening weekend. We saw a morning show.
But you went to an earlier show. They went later.
Now,
Yeah,
that
right.
that would have been, if I could have seen it, like I told Lisa as soon as I got out, I said, you should take your nieces to this movie. If I could see it through the eyes of the women in my life, I think I would have scored it.
I mean, I
higher.
wanted to see it anyway, like regardless, just
Yeah.
because I like her as a director.
I
I
like
the
Greta
cast.
Gerwig. It's a really
And
smart script.
I was going to say,
mean,
once it became clear that they were doing something really different.
Well, it's a satire for sure.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's a weird movie that somebody's imagination went wild on. By the way, I went to see Oppenheimer at the Alamo Drafthouse.
Let's
Oh, yeah, it's your first time there?
downtown LA. First time there. My
Is that with
God,
the
that's
big
a great
seats
spot.
where everybody falls asleep?
Well, it's got the recliners. It's got so much really cool movie signage and movie memorabilia all over the place.
Yeah.
The picture perfect. The sound perfect. The popcorn excellent.
Unlimited popcorn.
Unlimited popcorn. Bottomless popcorn. How about that?
But you can barely ever get to the bottom. There's so
No,
much
it's
popcorn in there.
and it comes in a big bowl, and you're picking out. I just love the Alamo Drafthouse. I loved my old theaters in Palm Desert. They were trying to be what the Alamo Drafthouse is.
And they have they have these things like if you go there 30 minutes beforehand, they open the doors for the theaters.
Right.
And so typically with bigger movies, they'll have tailored pre-trailer videos that are hints for what's happening in the movie. So like I saw the Timothée Chalamet movie, that Cannibal movie last year.
Yeah.
And they played a music video of a song that's prominent in the movie.
Oh,
so
okay.
So I get there half an hour early, I order my food, and I see stuff that'll give me hints for what to look for in the movie. And I think that's really ingenious and really cool. Everyone's a great server there. I love the Alamo Drafthouse.
By the way, how do you feel about that? The idea that, because Alamo Drafthouse does it this way. There's a menu sort of tucked under the table. There's a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. You write down what you want off the menu. It's sort of lit down so it's not interfering with other moviegoers. Then you press a button. Then somebody comes and gets the piece of paper. Then the food comes back, whatever you happen to order. And I'm wondering if, for me, it wasn't distracting, but I imagine for some people it is.
I would find it really distracting.
You've been to iPick? You guys been to iPick?
Been to iPick, yeah.
Isn't iPick much more distracting? Because iPick is, I've said this, we talked about this, whatever it was, 6-8 months ago. I go to a movie, and the server comes by, and he's kind of really loud.
No, he's loud.
He's
They're
talking
loud.
normally like we're at a restaurant. I'm trying to whisper. He's loud.
Yeah, I mean, in the middle of the second act here, dude, I don't care that guy wants cheese fries.
Yeah, I feel like part of the reason you go to the theater,
the writing thing sounds like a better solution.
I feel like the reason you go to the theater is in very large part to get completely immersed and lost in it. Like, you're shamed if you start using your phone, that sort of thing. I feel like the Drafthouse thing, while it might be nice for the individual person getting the food or whatever, it sounds distracting.
It's way more, I'll tell you, Alamo Drafthouse, way more impressive than I thought it was going to be. It's really, really cool.
We were just talking about Winning Time. So Sunday, right?
Yeah,
Sunday, season 2.
I've seen
Mason's
season 2.
actually seen
Already
season
seen
2.
it. Okay, so there was...
You couldn't get hooked up.
I didn't try.
Oh, you didn't
I decided
try. Okay.
I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
But
do you remind him?
Well, here's what's weird about it. So I watched the entire season 2. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to go back because I know Mondays we're going to talk a lot about that particular episode. So I'm going to go back and watch that episode so I know what everybody's going to be talking about on Monday. It is so good. It is so good.
So we were saying. So I guess there's a report that they're going to try to potentially do a Kobe and Shaq era, right, of Winning Time. Of all the different storylines that you could come up with, think of the NBA. It could be, and again, this is obviously dramatized. That's anybody that was watching Winning Time saying that, hey, this is exactly what happened.
Right, Jerry West probably never crawled
Probably
around
not.
In his underwear on his
Hopefully
apartment
not.
floor, yeah.
But if there's any other storyline era of basketball, is Kobe and Shaq the best one of a Winning Time type of show? Or is it the Jordan Pippen era? Or is it a couple others that we had?
I think the Heatles would be a really fascinating
that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Would Kobe Shaq be the most interesting one?
Seriously, the part of the reason why Winning Time works is that the casting is so good.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Magic, I think his name is Quincy Isaiah.
Yes.
He looks just like him.
The guy who plays Kareem, Solomon Hughes. These guys are really good. How do you cast a guy to play Shaq?
Or Kobe.
How do you find the guy that is going to play
but I bet
those
we
two
would.
roles?
I bet we would have said that before they casted Magic and Kareem.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
but Shaq is so thick and so big, and so where do you find that guy?
It's also harder, I think, because those guys were more recent.
Yes.
So your memories of them are more fresh, and in a lot of ways, the whole Showtime era, that's very mind's eye as opposed to like really fresh to latch onto,
right.
Which I think makes it a little bit easier to cast.
Do you think, John? Do you think anybody has seen it over there? When I say over there, I mean in the Lakers beehive.
I don't know. I think they can get it. They can get access
I'm sure
to
they
it.
can,
They're connected. But as you know, they weren't crazy about it because it competed directly with their Hulu project.
Right.
Maybe now that the Hulu project is over, they'll be more receptive
Although
to
at some
it.
point, Jeannie came out and said she thought John C. Reilly should be nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah, and he didn't even get nominated.
He got snubbed, which I thought was ridiculous. But somebody came around over there a little bit on the show. It is, I now understand, understand people are
sensitive about.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry West is at the Supreme Court right now, but but I do understand sort of that squeamishness about it. But I think in the end, it's good for the brand. It's good for the Lakers brand that is a big national TV miniseries.
Well, I think the thing that we all have to remember from like the perspective of Jerry West or any of these other people who don't like it, they're not characters in their own life. You know what I mean? Like it's not
right.
It's not easy for them to just treat this as, oh, well, Jerry West is a character in Winning Time. Because I've heard people make that defense where it's like, well, just relax. Like it's just a character in this thing. It's like, well, no, it's not a character to me. That's me.
Right.
I actually thought about that. In the first season of Winning Time, and Mace, I assume this continues in season 2. They have a young Jeannie, a young Linda Rambis, and a young Lon Rosen.
Yep.
And I thought my phone's probably going to ring in a minute, and they're going to say, "What are you talking about?" But I kind of liked the way they came off. I thought it was kind of cool.
I mean, Jeannie was treated as a 17-year-old wunderkind. I mean,
Well,
nothing
and
to
I
complain
also
about on her part.
Her wunderkidness continues in season 2.
I also thought it was kind of cool to know that, Lon's now running the Dodgers. Jeannie and Linda are instrumental in running the Lakers. And it was cool to see that they were on the ground floor and they have this institutional knowledge. Like, I can't imagine anything now could surprise the three of them. They've been through everything.
Let me ask you, Claire, what is Claire's
Claire
last
Rothman.
Rothman.
I know Claire.
Okay. So she plays a significant role in season 1 and in season 2. I never knew about her until Winning Time.
I'm glad to hear that because I actually thought Claire Rothman got kind of short shrifted in season 1.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I thought she came off great.
I didn't say she didn't come off.
She wasn't there enough?
That's what I'm talking about. I didn't say she didn't come off well. I'm saying I think there was a lot of stuff that she was likely more involved with that they didn't include her enough in Winning Time scenes. I'm not saying she didn't come off well.
I thought
you
Gabby,
know her?
Yeah.
Gabby Hoffman.
Yeah,
I know Gabby Hunt, but I know Claire.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story.
I would love Claire. Would she be good in the Culture Pop podcast?
I don't know. I'll find out.
Yeah, find out.
Find out.
I would love that.
I think that, as you know, getting actual Laker people to
talk
about
about
Winning
this,
Time
yeah.
has.
What does she do now?
She's retired. So one time, I'm friends with Joyce Sharman, Bill's widow, and she's like the nicest lady ever. So one time, there was this banquet that Joyce was in charge of, and she said, "I need you to MC this banquet." And she said, "We have several people. We're giving a big award to Jerry West." I said, "Okay." And she goes, "We have 5 or 6 people lined up to talk about Jerry." So, and these were like prominent people. Claire was one of them. Byron Scott was there. Worthy was there.
Right.
And so each person was going to go up, talk for 2 or 3 minutes, and we're going to bring Jerry up. And Jerry's sitting at my table. And Claire gets up and is effusive about Jerry.
Yeah.
And then Byron gets up and talked about how his career never would have been the same without Jerry. And Jerry looks at me and he goes, "This is ridiculous. I'm going." And I I go, "You're going where?" He goes, "I'm going up there." And I went, he goes, "I'm not going to sit through they're talking about me like this is my funeral." And I go, "Jerry, you can't. They've got like, they
put together a show.
People in to promote this." And I go, "You can't. There's like big names, like Vidi's coming up here to do." And Jerry goes, "I don't care. I'm going." And I went, "What do I do?" And I bolt out of my chair and I get up there. I go, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've all come to honor him. He's ready to talk. Jerry West." And Joyce and Claire look at me like, no, you can't let him go. Blah, blah. I go, "He's Jerry West." And of course, Jerry gets up and he just kills it. Like he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
For like 45 minutes. And then everybody said, "Well, that was
45 minutes.
Yeah, he was great.
I don't have 45 minutes. That's like the Kamenetskis at the Mandy
It
Awards.
was. It was
45 minutes.
It was very reminiscent of Andy
They
and
had
Brian at the
45 more
Mandy's.
minutes of material.
45 is a little short
You
for our
had a lot
taste.
more material, right? You were going to do...
We actually did.
Yeah, I believe it.
We did.
And you know what? And Morales gave you a bad rap. It was very funny stuff. We were laughing a lot at our table.
Yeah, but Chris never said it wasn't funny. He
just said it's long.
Yeah.
And it's enough already. He got like a big hook out.
You know what that means?
Off the stage.
All that means is Chris is like, "This is my time on the stage that you're taking from me."
This is my
I
show.
actually sympathize with Chris here. I've been like Mason and I argue over this. Mason believes that at the Oscars, everybody should be able to talk as long as they want.
Yes.
If you do that, it will run until 2 a.m.
Yes, which is fine.
As somebody, it's not fine for the TV people.
Well, it's fine for the people in the industry who actually care about the awards. I don't think anybody else does anymore. I don't think it's I don't think it's a national average Joe, I'm going to watch this show.
I think in 10 years, most of those award shows are going to move to a streaming platform.
Right,
and then you'll get what you want.
But I mean, ultimately, in the end, it comes down to it comes down to the fact that the people that watch aren't, Joe Public in Missouri or in the middle of the country. It's people in the industry.
Well,
the show is meant for people in the industry.
But you're dodging the big issue.
Which is?
They sell those commercial spots and that newscast right after the Oscars for triple the money they normally do.
You're talking about the local news.
Every station in the country, every ABC station in the country, they make their regular anchors come in on a Sunday night. They make a big deal out of it. And they sell, like in L.A., Channel 7, George Pinocchio and all those guys do like a post-Oscar show that
Right.
That's right.
they sell for a ton of money. All that money goes away if they do what you want.
Yep, I say do what you want. It's for the movie
it's the
business.
Same reason you're like you and I have always done. Mason and I one time did 24 hours straight on the
right.
radio.
Mm-hmm.
Another time, like we've gone commercial free like several times. We would do that anytime they would let us. They don't. They make us take breaks because this is a business. That's why you can't have everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the end, it's not a network TV property. And what, by the way, who cares if you're on network TV anymore?
Yeah, it's
it
different.
really is
Look,
different.
Nothing rates the way it used to.
No.
Period. Other than
Except this.
live sports.
Yeah.
Live
Except
sports.
this.
But even sports, if you look at the, baseball, basketball, you look
It's
at
the NFL and everyone else.
and everybody's sort of in.
I read a big article today. The reason there's an actors strike is because all these digital companies have come in, these streaming platforms, and they're not paying the actors. I read a long article about Netflix yesterday that came to the conclusion, and this will be really interesting for people like us, came to the conclusion that Netflix has raised their price every year for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. This take on this article was they can't raise their price anymore because they're not offering anything new. They have to get into live sports.
Right.
Because that's the only way.
Incentive for others to pay more.
For people like me and you to pay more money.
The only one that's done it is Apple, right?
Yeah.
Amazon has
Thursday Night Football, right.
and they're coming
Yeah.
with more stuff. But I think pretty soon, live sports is the great elixir. It's the one thing that you can have. Like if you have the Super Bowl, if Amazon ever gets the Super Bowl, then people will buy Amazon Prime. Like tonight, Lionel Messi's playing in Miami. It's his third game.
By the way, this is a really good question. I'm in the same boat. Like I would like to watch Messi tonight, but I've got Apple, but then I got to buy the
MLS package.
inside the Apple.
Yeah.
Correct. And
that's what the Pac-12 is going to try to do, by the way.
It never will work
Brilliant,
for them.
Brilliant. I want to see that.
Arizona and
I want to see that
say
Arizona-Washington
game?
State game. Yeah.
Let's say you and I pay whatever the Apple price is to watch Messi tonight.
Yeah.
You know he gets a cut of that?
Yeah,
I know.
Every single subscriber.
Do you realize the Pac-12 will get a cut of every subscriber they get on Apple?
Right.
Why do I want to watch
14
Oregon
subscribed.
State
You
play
don't.
Cal?
Oh, when
That's
those
never-
two teams get together.
Did you
refuse.
hear what Paul Feinbaum said this morning?
Oh, he ripped them. It's here if you guys need it.
Somebody please throw dirt on this
Jump
conference.
ship, basically,
The
is what he's
minute
saying
SC
in the
and
Pac-12.
UCLA
It was over.
It was over.
I
You
refuse.
can't win
There's
with-
nothing to
You
do.
can't compete without the LA
there's
market.
I
nothing to do.
refuse
It's
to
over.
end today's show without Brian playing. You guys, I just want you guys to appreciate the music you're about to hear, and then guess who it is.
Okay.
Brian, if you can please play it.
I know you want to see this chest. I know that you want me.
Well, it's very overmodulated.
What NBA player do you think this is?
As someone who cannot sing.
It is definitely not Dame Lillard.
He also can't play defense. Does that help?
Is it can't play defense?
He can't stay on
play
one
defense.
team for
Can't
longer
stay
than
on
a year
one
and a
team.
half.
Is it
Close.
Is it? It's not Kyrie. Is it Harden?
Yes.
James Harden, everybody.
By the way, those two clues can't stay on a team for very long and don't play defense.
There's only two players.
Or it could only be those two guys.
Well, we're up against it. We had to give it to you.
If we were playing Password, those were excellent clues.
Yes.
I'd enjoy the music in the background. Super Crosstalk is brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger, that's what a hamburger is all about. Mason Island coming up next.